consent. The producers, the McKinney Media Group. This is Hard Copy on the McKinney Broadcasting Radio Network, and Hard Copy, as you know, seeks to lay out the facts in simple fashion for the inclusion of all Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. The focus every day to move forthright in our manner to build a progressive and developing country. We want a Bahamas that's competent and skillful and productive in the workforce. We also want a country that can feed and sustain itself. We want a country with a brilliant visionary action plan that's ready to embrace a future of hope and prosperity. We encourage like-minded Bahamians just like you to participate with intelligence and honest contributions. After all, my friends, we have a country to build. We've got jobs and industry to create. We've got a people to inspire and empower. And generations of born and unborn Bahamians, we the people must protect and plan for. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today on Hard Copy, resignations. One down. Are there any more to come? We shall discuss. This is Hard Copy. It is Monday, the 21st day of March, 2016. Mark it down as you battle the congested city streets and drive home traffic. We have cloudy skies, rain threatening, 77 degrees right now in the nation's capital, 76 in Grand Bahama, 74 in Abaco, 66 for an overnight low tonight, 80% chance of rain, showers coming early, lasting through the morning, 80% rain chance. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We're brought to you today by the National Insurance Board, by Nassau Motor Company, Commonwealth Bank, the Ministry of Tourism, Kalina Insurance for comprehensive coverage, Bahamas Foot and Ankle on Blake Road, Superwash with 10 locations, the Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions. We're also brought to you by SuperValue, the All Bahamian Supermarkets, the McKinney Media Group, Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 Collins Avenue, Ron's Electric Motors, Clarendon Wolf Road, Sky Bahamas, Kalina Financial Advisors Limited, CFAL, Executive Printers, Henry F. Store, the Light People on Mackey Street, New Oriental Laundry, and Le Bleu Ultra Pure Drinking Water. The NIGAD Bacon Affair spawning resignations it appears, already. And the question now is, are there any more? We shall be talking about it today. You can feel free to call me at 325-0235 or 6. And you can also feel free to send me a WhatsApp or text on the BlackBerry at 376-9234. Happy to join us on the World Wide Web at peace1075.com, cable top box 970 around the country, TuneIn Radio around the world, iPad, iPhone, any Android, you can be a part of it. And tune into Hard Copy right now. Follow us on Facebook, Hard Copy, and on Twitter, Hard Copy Bahamas. And certainly, we are listening to what you have to say today. Follow us on Instagram at Hard Copy 242. Like us on Facebook, Hard Copy. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Watch us live on Google Plus right now. Just follow the link from our Facebook page. We do have a guest coming along in just a minute. And certainly, we have some things to tell you all about. If you didn't hear it, you would have, well, if you haven't heard it yet, let me be the first to tell you then, that Michael Pintard, the Free National Movement's chairman and the sitting senator, has resigned. He resigned shortly after midday today. He resigned because of this whole allegation and this affidavit about plotting for a murder in this Nygard Bacon nasty affair that has poured over and is all in the international media these days, and the whole wide world is watching to see what will become of our politicians who have somehow been caught up in this whole mess. Some of them, quite incidentally, some of them apparently as a focus. Michael Pintard, for whatever is worth, is one of those individuals who is a sitting senator of the Free National Movement opposition side, and the chairman of the Free National Movement Party, trying to put themselves in position to win an election in the next couple of months. And so this has been most unfortunate for him. And as a result of it, he has resigned. He says that he's not resigning because he is guilty of anything at all. He wanted to make that very clear today when I spoke with him. He says that no, he's resigning so as to not create the kind of distraction and to take away from the Free National Movement being on course to try to dethrone the PLP governing party, in his words, that has not been doing so good and that the country needs to be changing from. So Pintard today resigning not only as the chairman of the Free National Movement, but he also resigned today as a sitting senator. Now this is, again, his second chance in the Senate, and again, he's out there resigning. The first time it was Bostwick who replaced him. And Bostwick has been removed from the Senate after some allegations that he basically was before the courts on. You know the story. And then Michael Pintard had been replaced, had replaced Bostwick, and at the time, the chairman of the PLP, Big Bad Brad, had made all kind of headlines about how come Minnis was not being creative in putting Michael Pintard back into the Senate. Well, he is out now and is out on his own decision that he did not want to create any more distractions. And some say he should have been out from the time that this matter had unfolded. But of course, with every passing day and word is about tapes and videotapes and conversations recorded, I suppose Mr. Pintard felt this was as good a time to move than any, and so he made his decision to leave that place today. Now, I've got two sound bites. Of course, first he had given indication on his Facebook page that he was going to go, but we got our own confirmation from him by making sure that we got him on the record as what he was doing, and so we want to go to his resignation that he spoke to us about just before the show here this afternoon. Michael Pintard telling us the reason behind his decision.
And then finally, a signal this morning in my post, I decided to tender my resignation as chairman of the Free National Movement and as an opposition senator effective immediately. The S&M and the PLP are different in how we approach governance and crisis. The central issue here is to rescue our country from a PLP party that is not suited to govern in a time when our people need competent, honest, and compassionate government. Today, I make the decision to work more directly in our communities, addressing our people's needs for economic opportunities, basic necessities, and a sense of who we are as a people. My letter of resignation from the Senate is being forwarded to the President of the Senate, and my letter of resignation as chairman is being forwarded to the leader of the opposition. My resignation is not an admission of guilt about anything. I fear no legal or ethical wrongdoing in my role in meeting with PLP and NIDAD operatives who made me aware of their past criminal acts and possible dastardly and unbelievable plot that pose a potential threat to the lives and definitely reputation of citizens of this country. I resign because I want our party not to be distracted in our effort to defeat an incompetent and unethical government. Thanks again, and God bless you all. Amen.
Yeah, that was Michael Pinta talking with us via phone. In fact, we had contacted him and to have him make his statement on the record so as to not be involved with anything else that may not have been real. And you must understand that hard copy goes by these kinds of documentation simply because there's so many things out there on the internet these days that can be questionable. And certainly people posting things on Facebook and all that. We just wanted to make sure that we got the authentic Michael Pinta saying whatever he wanted to say with regards to his resignation. So we have that on the record, and that's one of the reasons why we have done it the way that we did, just so that you would know, because there's so many things floating around there, friends, that it is almost impossible to sift through it all to know authentically what things are and to keep ourselves out of harm's way as a reputable station. And so that is what the case is. You heard him for yourself, what he had to say. And while you may agree with him or disagree with him, that's up to you. We have opened our telephone lines on that particular score. We're talking many other things today, as I'm expecting Leslie Miller to stop in and sit with me this afternoon because of many other things that are going on. And we say that because, friends, as you know, we can see that all is not well in the country. This thing has come to hide us and haunt us. This whole, when I say us, the collective we, our country, the Bahamian people, who don't deserve any of this kind of bad publicity that is happening. But of course, because of the way that this fight, this feud has turned out, yes, there are many people who are caught up in it, caught in the middle of it. Some you can understand because they ought not to have been involved as politicians and statesmen of the country. But then again, that is how the whole cookie crumbles. And so we wonder what your thoughts are. You can call us, as I said today, right here on the show at 325-023516, 325-024243, 325-025253, and 325-024243. Did I give you that number? Yes. And you can also get us on the BlackBerry at 376-9234. WhatsApp us on that number. Send us a text on that number. And let's talk. Do you like where we are as a country? This is one of the things I want to put as a question today, because we've got to look at our governance and how we have been doing it with the resolve to do better than we have been doing. And I don't know we can get that in this particular dispensation of the government right now, because a lot of people are questioning whether or not the government is still prepared to give it its best shot in governing this country and turning it around. Do you believe that the government believes that they can turn things around from this ugly picture that's been painted here? Do you believe that the Christie-led administration believe that they can turn it around, and do they have the interest, the energy to try to do just that, to turn it around? And what do I mean by turn it around? I mean these things that are being said, all this plotting and cloak and dagger operatives and operations, it's not a pretty picture. Not for a seasoned government, not for the Bahamas. And so, in my way of thinking, I'm thinking that, boy, they want to turn this around. I'm thinking they should want to turn this around and do something different right here. But do you think that they have what it takes to do that? Be honest now. And how do you rate them right now where they stand? If I said to you, if we went to the polls today, for instance, and say, now is the time to elect the governing party or to re-elect them, would you re-elect them? Talk to me. Are they just being misunderstood? Are they wrongfully caught up in this scandal? Is this really a scandal? Is this damaging to them? Remember now, Michael Pintard has done what appears now to be the honorable thing. People have said that he ought not to have had a conversation with some fellows who now are wanting and people are asking questions about. And so if he should not have spoken with them, people are saying, well, he should resign because he ought not to have gotten caught up. But I don't know how that's possible, because I suppose that there are many people who have talked to the gentleman or to the two individuals in question, because the first people, first individuals I believe that they would talk with would be people concerned in the grouping. And if they're political operatives, certainly they'll talk to some politician. And they did that. Mr. Pintard has decided to resign as a token of his responsibility. And you know, this is the season for confessions and what the church calls a contrite heart, and a time for penance and repentance, as this is Holy Week. And so if there's an example to make, if there's any good in this that has happened, if there's any silver lining in what has happened with Michael Pintard, he has created an example for others who may want to do the honorable thing, but may not do it because they don't want to lose the thing. Well, this is a time for a contrite heart, confessions, penance, repentance. Are there any more? Are there any more who will in fact decide to also resign? Did Michael do the right thing? Did he move too quick? Ministers said that they accept the resignation of Michael Pintard because he felt that it was honorable. There are some in the body politic right now who believe that anyone who met with these two questionable characters in this affidavit that has been circulating for some time, there's a school of thought by other armchair experts and those who dabble in politics that if any other politician had spoken with them and had been a part of this kind of conversation that Mr. Pintard allegedly had with them, that individual too should resign. Did Brave Davis have any information with them? Did he speak with them? His name has been mentioned several times. Brave Davis, of course, is the Deputy Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Did the leader of the opposition, Dr. Hubert Minnis, ever spoke with these people? Is he caught up in all this thing? You see, because there's a school of thought from those who are looking for a bright future and for this to be the demise of both the PLP and the F&M. They're saying anyone from any side who had been a part of this thing, this corruption, this conspiracy, this plot, that they all should resign. We've heard the Prime Minister's name be mentioned. He has denied any involvement. He has said that the police had questioned him. Brave Davis, the Deputy Prime Minister, said that the police didn't question him. Commissioner of Police had a press conference, said he did have some questions for the Prime Minister. There's been no further conversations to the media to say just what that means. See, this doesn't mean that anybody's guilty, friends. What this means is that it looks bad. The reputation of the Bahamas is already bad in some cases. And with this happening now and spawning resignations, one would wonder if there are any more. At a wedding ceremony, they normally say, "Speak now or forever hold your peace." Well, while this resignation train is happening, maybe there's some others who need to jump on that, who may want to jump on that, who may wish to jump on that. Would that be a good idea? Do you think, public, that anybody else should voluntarily jump on that train now? Or will they have to wait until more evidence comes out, which could be even more embarrassing, and then should they attempt to jump on the train of resignation? Any which way you look at it, it's not a pretty picture. Interesting, isn't it? 376-9234 is how you can text me, how you can WhatsApp me, how you can message me here this afternoon on the show as I run to the break and look into the VIP lounge of our studio to see if Mr. Miller's there. We want to talk about these things because they are very important. And this is where the country is stuck right now. We're stuck in no man's land. We want to go forward, but we've got some things around our ankles that prevents us from moving with fleet feet across the terrain. And one of those things is this nasty Nygaard Bacon affair that's playing out in all the newspapers, on all the talk shows, on all the radio stations in this wonderful Bahamas. We're coming back. You can call us when we return at 325-0235-6, 325-024243. Resignations, or should I say a resignation today, will it spawn some others? Are there any more in this season of repentance, confession, contrite heart, and repentance? The first day of Holy Week. When we come back, there's more.
Double down.
So loud, man.
He didn't mention? I was saying he didn't even mention.
Hey. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't mention Mr. Madison.
I didn't mention.
No, he didn't. Because he just said, and the other one he said he was introduced to Mr. Bacon and those by associate who we trusted.
Okay, that's for the next one. So let's play that then. See, play that now. I mean, but
If you are suffering with injury on this
I feel hot. I feel like he come down.
Put an ankle in the leg. Invest in your property. They had disputed number for the
I don't know. It just feels
What's
busy.
in the Hamatoes? Corn and Palace.
Ain't to me.
They provide
Taking my
diabetic
time.
care and
Trying
education.
to focus.
Services also
I
include.
thought you just spoke about shoes there.
Yeah. No, that's just focus.
From toenail. Plus an array of other services available. Bahamas Foot and Ankle, Lake Road.
What a country.
Call 302-4607. Attention, Honda and Acura drivers.
Chairman Brown,
Your vehicle
Ben
may need immediate attention. There is currently a recall on
Separate
site
years,
to
if I say,
repair
but get them.
airbag inflators at no cost to you.
I don't deal with slides like
to
that.
2014
Praise the
Honda
Lord, I
vehicle
would that.
and 2002 to 2006
Hey,
Please
sorry, Lee.
That's all right. Not a friend of mine, Eddie, man. He's
Sugar.
He fellow, luckily, one of my fellows was growing up by my daughter.
Extension
Saw him on the road.
Motor Company, the authorized Honda
He was almost gone.
He just fell down.
No, he was in the Jeep. And he got on the meeting, man. He felt, he got a trigger.
Right.
He was so low.
Yeah.
Just came from Summer Street. I was there from,
This is Eddie line. What's who Eddie?
no, Eddie, I'm double, Dr. Mike Dowell brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah. things considered, that Pintard, the chairman of the F&M, made his ink on the paper today. It's dried now, and he's gone, not only as the F&M chairman, but also as a sitting senator in the upper house. And so this is where we are today. All this stemming from this Nygaard Louis Bacon feud that has spilled over into the international waters of the world, and everybody is talking about it. And the picture looks as if they would have gotten some people to be compromised, is what information in an affidavit alleges. But of course, that is still before the courts. What is most important here is that two individuals who you would call street people, because of their knowledge of the streets politically, they were the ones who, in fact, had been allegedly talking to some people. And as a result of that, Michael Pintard is allegedly one of those individuals who they had spoken with. And they had spoken to him about any number of things, including what the affidavit alleges as some kind of plot to do people harm and to even murder some people who were part of the Save the Bay team that's headed by Fred Smith. The Save the Bay team, that's an environmentalist group, were put together and funded allegedly by Louis Bacon, the arch rival of Peter Nygaard, to make sure that he would be exposed, or to make sure that Nygaard would be exposed with his key that he has there at Nygaard's key and Lyford key. And so it is said and alleged that because this had been the case, Nygaard retaliated by allegedly getting some people together, these two individuals allegedly a part of that, and notice the words allegedly, that they would go and inflict some kind of harm, or cause for some harm to be inflicted upon those who would make up the Saves the Bay. Now, I asked if any resignations were forthcoming after Pintard had resigned today. Well, I'm getting information that another individual who was a part of the Save the Bay team has also resigned, and that person allegedly is Diane Phillips, who had head of public relations agency, that they were just hired, I suppose, to do the PR agency. I'm understanding that she would have been a part of the directorship of that particular Save the Bay, and she may have resigned. Many other Bahamians have been named as individuals participating on that Saves the Bay team, including my good friend KB, the Kickin' Bahamian, the musician, and his job allegedly was to create songs that would promote the environment, which of course he has done, and you've heard many of them on this station played as other stations across the way, talking about how to save the bays and how to save the Conch and so forth and so on. And so I don't know if we can make anything out of that, except that he's a musician who does that kind of stuff, and doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it. But of course, his name was on a list of many others who had been receiving monies from the Save the Bays team to do such promotions to save the environment, to save the bays. Leslie, really good afternoon.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, Bahamas.
You look as if you just been to the House of Assembly or something.
I just left the House of Assembly, we had a records morning this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the member for Montague is still on the floor.
Mm.
And so there's a lot of to and fro,
Yeah.
both sides of the aisle.
This has been going on from last week, ever since these allegations came up.
Yes, yes.
I didn't make much of it because I figured it was in an affidavit. I know affidavits are sworn, but at the same time, it didn't come up. It was cited in the court at the time. So I looked at it and said, well, let's let the court handle all this, which is still my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly with resignations beginning to fly, I'm wondering if, in fact, there is more to this than what meets the eye in the world of politics, that some people who have perhaps been in places they should not have been, or had been affiliated with some individuals they should not have been affiliated with. And as a result of it, many names are being called, Mr. Miller. And we've already seen one political resignation in this whole thing. Are you expecting any resignations? Do you think anything else big is going to come out of this?
Well, I tell you, what is interesting, it was last week, Monday, a colleague showed me some documents that they had in their possession before this whole thing came up. I was speaking on Tuesday, and I decided in my contribution, I was the first one to spoke about it. I say, I'll just touch on it because what I saw was conspiracy that took place before.
Mm-hmm.
And I took them back to 1984.
Mm.
And a lot of the young fellas like myself was in Lom's Restaurant. That's where we used to hang out.
Yep.
James Smith, whole crew of us, young entrepreneurs and young fellas working for government and private institution.
Mm-hmm.
was a Friday afternoon, man. Some of the fellas came in there with the Miami Herald and dropped it on our tables.
Nation
Check
for
this
sale.
out, Nation for Sale. And of course, that was used through the general election. All the presidents around the world got on the Finland administration, God bless him, and went to task on it. The Financial Times of London, the major newspapers in Europe, and of course NBC did that expose where Sir Lyndon and the Honorable Paul Hardy, God bless him, had to go and defend this country vigorously on national television through the United States of America. I saw this group as a bunch of amateurs based on who they had associated with them, you know, and I bought the story out ready to say that what I saw was tantamount to what took place many years ago. You know, life has come full story, as you found, as you old people always tell
Full
us.
circle.
Full cycle, and it's come full cycle again. Fortunately, this time, it was caught very early in the bud, that the information got out very quickly. And the Right Honorable Prime Minister, along with our member for Marathon, Mr. Fitzgerald, was able to retrieve the information and do what was necessary. And the Prime Minister, of course, called in the police. And the rest, as they say, is history. I saw the chairman of the Free National Movement resign his position today, two positions actually, as the chairman as well as the senator. So now they have to fill two spots. They now must call a convention, or the leader of the opposition must now have an interim chairman who he has the right to name, and also he will now have to name someone to fill that spot in the Senate. So, you know, politics is a fast-moving game. You know, today you're in one position, more in someplace else.
But of course, you say that from a point of view, though you're a PLP, you say that from a neutral point of view. I take that.
Yes.
But at the same time, there have been others who have been named, including the Right Honorable Prime Minister, including Deputy Prime Minister Brave Davis,
Yes.
in things that people don't quite understand. Is there any reason, Mr. Miller, for any of these gentlemen, or the PLP hierarchy, or PLP supporters, or the country at large, to be concerned about? Is there anything that people ought to be concerned about because these names were called and is a part of some affidavit that's before the court?
I stated in an interview last week with one of the dailies here that I was prepared to put my life on the line when it came to the integrity of the Right Honorable Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, Philip Brave Davis, that they would never do anything that would embarrass or would affect our country in a negative way. No one could buy those two men out. Under no circumstances could that happen. I told him I was prepared to put my life on the line, that it was impossible for those two men to be bought
Even now,
by
you put
any.
your-
Yes, it's still on the
even
line.
now you put your
More
life
so
on the
than
line?
more than ever for those two gentlemen.
But why is that? Is
They
that
are
because
both-
you know that?
I have known both gentlemen all of my life, all of my entire life. We grew up around the same blocks, and the integrity they have within them with regard to the office that they hold and the way they feel about the Bahamian people, there's no need for them to ever sell out to anyone for any amount. First of all, they don't need the money. You know, these are men who have the love for this country, have the respect. They came up under the late great Sir Lyndon Finland, and there's always country first. You know, look at men like Paul Hardy and those who would have been before us. The Honorable Dion Arthur, Mr. Carlton Francis. You know, they cannot be bought. Now, a lot of people insinuated that because Mr. Dygard was entertained by the government, and supposedly he gave some contribution to the Progressive Party, which he also indicated that he also gave a contribution to the Free National Movement also. They took that to mean that he had the government in his back pocket, but obviously no such thing happened, because Mr. Nygaard still hasn't gotten what he had requested, which really was to enable him to refurbish a beach after the hurricane, when he refurbished his house. And he extended that beach further than it should have been, or further than it normally is. You know, it is amazing. I first met Mr. Nygaard in 1990, while I was chairman of the Town Planning Committee. He had just recently purchased that house from a lady I used to work with, Shirley Oaks Butler, and Alan Butler, old grandma passed now, God bless them.
Mhm.
When he bought us, in fact, we used to go there on the weekend sometime to that same residence. And he came and he presented with his plan and we approved it for what he wanted to do. I never saw the big deal about the people in Lightfoot Key being against what he did in all areas of the Bahamas and in all areas of the United States of America on the eastern seaboard, from Florida to the Carolinas, where you have erosion of your beaches. You have every opportunity to purchase sand, mostly from the Bahamas, by the way, through AES Corporation. That's really what Aragonite is all about. It's just sand that they refurbish the beaches on the east coast of the United States with. He did that. He then put a seawall that kept the sand in place instead of the tide coming and taking it back out. This foolishness about him getting government crown land, it's an untruth. Government doesn't have any crown land whatsoever on any part of Lightfoot Key. Never did. What he did was increase the size of his property on the waterfront side by putting more beach. Now, it's ironic. 30, 40 years ago, while Kevin Johnson, my good friend who just passed, all of us used to be training with the great late Thomas Robinson. Every morning we'd meet at Cabbage Beach at 5:30 and train for about an hour. We will go from the point on Cabbage Beach up to Holiday Inn sometime, and the Grand Hotel which was there. Well, if you could remember, that whole eastern point was rock. The whole eastern point. When Curzon did phase 3, he got permission from the government to send a D9 out there on that waterfront, and he turned it into beach. That was rock, you know. And it's easy to do. You simply get a D8 or a D9, you crush up all the rock, and over a very short period of time, you bring in sand, and you get a beach, and you put the necessary bulwark there that protects your waterfront and protect the sun. That is exactly what Mr. Nygaard did. This big deal about him stealing land from the government is utter foolishness. He did increase the beach, but Paradise Island did likewise, and throughout our country. Major foreign investors with deep pockets have done so over and over and over again.
Yeah, but I suppose that's why the Save the Base group got around, because the multiplicity of wrongdoings, Mr. Miller, you rightly know, does not make it right. The multiplicity of wrongdoing still doesn't make it right. And even the two wrongs.
I'm not sure there's any wrongdoing.
No, I'm just saying, if it's wrong and harmful to the environment, if it is considered that, then no matter how many cases you cite that they did it, this one doesn't make it right.
What I personally feel, let's be frank and upfront with this.
Good.
On any given day in that enclave called Lightfoot Key, people of color go there, including the maids that they bring in from, what a place name? Everybody got that.
Peru.
No, that famous place now, the Philippines. They expect that by 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the evening, they won't have to see any people of our color, which is generally the case with Lightfoot Key, very wealthy people, accustomed to having people of color come there, do their work, and they leave. Mr. Nygaard took a different approach. He's been here for so long, over 40 years. His mother passed away in the Bahamas, I think. She was buried here in the Bahamas, in Nassau. Well, he became ingrained in the social and economic welfare of our country. He's an avid sportsman, I guess. He did a lot for the sporting associations in this country, especially sailing. Did the same thing with track and field, and just with every other athletic undertaking that is done in the Bahamas. Well, he then started to have a lot of parties out there and invited many of persons of our color out there. This fight really started with he and Mr. Bacon. Remember, the noise factor
I remember that.
was the first thing that came up.
The sonic.
Remember, the noise factor. And remember, and the other gentleman got these massive speakers that pointed on his property. He used to have them on day and night. The police went and confiscated them. And they were told by the former government to take them back, which they did. This wasn't a fight about the bears, you know. This was a fight about the people out there being annoyed that there were so many black people coming through that gate, going to the end of their properties at night. That's what this fight was about. This fight was the fight of color. This fight was the fight of these extra wealthy people who would wish not to see you after 4 o'clock, certainly not to congregate in their homes or to be near their properties. Mr. Nygaard took a different approach. Like I say, he became involved in the social welfare of our country and become accustomed to the average Bahamian. So when he would have these parties or have some function on behalf of the athletes and what have you, he invited many of us out there. And the rest is history. Then it became the base. So this group was formed for one purpose, as far as I can see, which is to get rid of Mr. Nygaard, not being able to get rid of Mr. Nygaard themselves, and the government not making a firm decision to give him permission for what he would have done. If I was minister, I would have done so without hesitation, because he did not destroy any of the habitat that was there on that point.
I recall that they had a whole lot of concern back in just after 2002, I suppose it was, down there. There was a whole thing about the easement to the property, the easement between Mr. Bacon's property and Mr. Nygaard's property that was used by people, as you said, who went there, black and white, I suppose, anybody who he had as party members or guests. But there was this whole thing about easement.
Yes.
And then that mushroomed into some other thing.
Exactly, but what did the easement have to do about saving the base?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, it started with the noise, then it started with the easement, and then it turned into something else. Now it's interesting. One resigned, two persons resigned today. Ms. Phillips also resigned.
Yeah.
She got a whole lot of money herself for being the PR lady. Okay? Now she is gone, and I'm sure others is going to follow. Because the Prime Minister has indicated clearly last week and when he spoke this morning, this is in the police hands and it's a very, very, very serious matter.
Yeah, it's serious because...
And the U.S. government has become involved in it too.
Well, tell me, how serious is this? I mean, we've been hearing, see, when things are circulating on Facebook and on the World Wide Web and that kind of stuff, people tend to look at it and trivialize it because anybody's got access to it, you can put anything up. And sometimes you've got to be careful what we're reading because some of these things are just things.
Those are the lies.
So when you say it's serious from what point? You're serious in that the allegations
from the point that, listen, funds were gathered by an organization that was created supposedly to assist the downtrodden, the down and out, and to give to these civic organizations that needed help. A lot of money went to the organization. Now remember, the United States of America, a lot of people give money to these social causes because it is tax-free.
Yeah.
You write it off at the end of the year. Now these people have very wealthy friends. It's easy for them to throw a party on a weekend, and some of their friends contribute up to $100, maybe $250,000 to help out some poor country or some poor people if they end with what they're doing. Obviously that took place, and a lot of money was put into this fund. But if the funds are going to be used for political purposes, Uncle Sam then wants his money because that's not your money. Because at the end of the year, that $1 million that you would give is written off on your tax account, i.e., instead of you paying taxes, you gave it away.
Right.
Uncle Sam said that's fine because you're helping the poor.
Right.
But if you use for other purposes, he now wants his tax that you spend.
Understood.
Another matter that came up was the fact that if it was used in a manner unbecoming of what it was intended for, the person using that could also be looked at as someone who's putting those funds into a different element altogether.
Is that why
money laundering?
Is that why Jerome Fitzgerald talked about IRS and
Yes.
FBI?
And also money laundering too. Because the point is that you got it for
this is happening? Does
the government. Yes, they do.
The government suspects that this is what is happening?
Because
from the Save the Base grouping?
it looks from the documents I've seen, and the Prime Minister extended that this morning, some $8.2 million has been expended today. The Prime Minister said they think it's double that, what he saw. You're talking about big money. Now, what does it take, really, to run a successful campaign and take over the government? We know, and you know, and I know, that in this country, you have about 40% F&M, 40% PLP, and that 10 or 12% down the middle. That's who you got to persuade to vote for you to take a government. $10 to $15 million put in the hands of the PLP or F&M could cause you to win. $8.2 million has already been expended for the sole purpose, or looked to be the sole purpose. They couldn't get rid of Mr. Nygaard the way they would have wished. The government wouldn't do it for them. So what you do, you take out the government. And hope that the fellows who you're supporting will do it for you.
Is that what?
And every member of the FNM who has spoken so far, say NIGOD should be escorted out of the Bahamas.
Yes, that's.
Everyone,
noted.
bar
That's
none,
noted.
bar none,
That's noted.
bar none. They said they want him out here.
You think that's the mission?
I-
And if that cannot be attainable, because the government of Christie has not moved in that direction,
Yes,
then you're saying that
you move Christie.
move the whole government.
Exactly.
So you're saying that monies, you're suggesting, Mr. Miller,
Yes.
now, that monies that have been spent by the Save the Base group,
Yes.
it's been a political thing to
Yes.
move the government.
Yes.
Even though it points that they've been doing some things to correct environmental pitfalls and infractions.
Well, what have their corrections been leveled at so far? What have they accomplished in what they have been trying to do?
So I don't know.
Maybe if you put in full-page ads,
Mhm.
4-page ads, that cost about $30,000 every week.
Mhm.
And all those things are aimed at different entities that is run by the government.
Mhm.
And it's a constant. Then they go personally at the prime minister. You saw the guy.
I saw them. I saw
Personally at the
them.
prime minister over and over and over again. That in my opinion is putting in the minds of the average Bahamian that it's time to see his back.
Mhm.
And this is why we are saying the things that we are saying. We would wish him to be gone. That's my interpretation of what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And by the way, Wednesday when we were in Parliament, it was brought clear. That's when they came with a 4-page ad. 4 pages.
Yeah, the 4-page ads have been running.
4
double
pages.
in the
Someone has to pay for it, and they were paying for it with someone else's money. The prime minister life was also threatened.
We heard
And
him
he's
say
very
that.
concerned about it.
We're not so sure. Is that a matter of national security that we not heard in which way, how, and when this whole thing happened?
Well, you know, in matters of this, of that magnitude, certainly the Commissioner of Police will not give that information until they're finished
Mhm.
with their investigation.
But I mean, is this a recent threat to him? Because he had said that some time ago.
No. He said these threats emanated from the people who are associated with this organization, who brought these two fellas from Baintown or the bottom
I see.
into the picture. And it was quoted, I guess, in one of their affidavits as to how to get rid of him on a personal level.
All right.
That's what he indicated in Parliament. That it was a threat, and he took it very seriously as a threat against his life.
Of course, you're supposed to take it serious.
This is serious business.
So there is an ongoing investigation of this. How come we've not heard that individuals named in the affidavit and supposedly who were the perpetrators of this information on camera, on video, all over Facebook and stuff, how come there's been no arrests to say, well, we have some people that we're questioning, police,
The police aren't for questioning people now, from what I understand.
but are they the
No, it is
suspects?
our understanding that the two main suspects are now in the Dominican Republic. They went from the Bahamas to Turks and Caicos,
Hmm.
and I saw a letter
Hmm.
where funds were deposited into their account, and I mean big money, in the hundreds of thousands, from one law firm to the next. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I couldn't believe it.
This in the affidavit.
No,
This in some other way that you.
a letter that I saw from one law firm to the next, stating that this is my client in the Bahamas, very reputable, very wealthy. These are the funds to emanate into these 2 accounts. Be grateful for your cooperation. And then gave the accounts numbers. And we're talking about amounts in excess of $300,000 in each account.
Was this supposed to be monies to?
I don't know what it's supposed to be, so let me tell you what I saw. I don't have the slightest idea. I'm only telling you what Leslie Miller saw with his own 2 eyes.
What's going to happen, though, Mr. Miller, at the end of the day with this whole thing? Because while you may have intimate knowledge of some things, because you are close to those who are in the circle of the government, you're part of the government, and certainly there'll be things that you would talk within your own circles that you would be privy to. What would be the end game of this? And is there a big concern for the government's stability and their whole electability going forward based upon the many things that have been flying around? In other words, people saying, if it is true what Leslie Miller said just now about this sustained bombardment by this political group operating as a
Yes,
environmentalist group, putting that kind of pressure on the Christie administration, bombardment all day in the newspapers, and people are under the impression now that Christie need to get out of here. Does this whole matter now concern the PLP in general, that this may be the end game for them just because of what has happened?
but Steve, look at what happened today. You had the chairman of a major political entity in this country, a senator in the opposition, resign.
Yeah.
What is that telling you?
But he said he resigned so as not to cause a distraction to his political party, because the focus is to get rid of this uncaring and this totally reckless PLP government, something to that effect.
I guess he was so concerned about the baby people that he was then working along with the people who was working along with it. For the enrichment of himself, eh? Did any of those funding go into the blighted areas of New Providence
I don't know.
to assist the poor, to
I don't
uplift
know.
the downtrodden?
But
Not to my knowledge.
But the former chairman, we can call him that now, of the Free National Movement, Mr. Pintar, has always been a man involved in community work. He's
Yes,
always
yes.
been doing things for the small man and with the small man. So when I first heard about the allegation, I thought nothing of it because, as I said at the beginning of the show, even Leslie Rutherford talks to anybody and everyone on the streets, thugs,
Yes.
old people,
Mhm.
rich people, poor people, criminal-minded people.
But-
You
but-
talk to people
But
all
not
the
with the
time.
understanding of trying to cause harm and trying to bring down the government. Not with that.
No, I don't think suggest that you.
I
that you
you
have.
know, I
But is
look
there
at-
evidence that has happened in Bill Dodd's case?
Well, I don't know what has happened. His name simply surfaced
That's the point.
with all the others. I suppose that in due course, the investigation is being carried out now by the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Would say really what the situation. I don't have the slightest idea what it is. I wasn't there.
I don't know if the
police.
police has questioned Mr. Pintard, and I haven't seen Mr. Pintard be arrested. Is it that your suspicion is that
I
he would?
couldn't tell you, none at all. I'm only telling you, I only saw some letters, and I saw some names of a listing of what they were getting for their services that was rendered to this organization called Save the Bays.
Understood. Let me
That's
ask you something else, Mr. Miller. Barry Gladstone Christie has been your dear personal friend. You all did track and field together.
That's it.
You came from the same blocks. You've been, even though you all have your little arguments, I'm sure your little cussing matches every now and then. I'm sure of it, because I know how you go.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you've said things before and all that. But at the same time, he is still considered your personal friend to the point where you all came up together. You would not like to see anything happen untoward against him. Are you concerned, though, about not only the threats of allegations of threat, but also about the whole psyche of this thing, how it's playing out? Yeah, your dear friend has been a whole lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure in recent times. Mortgage relief program can't get going, needing jobs, unemployment going high.
Let us look at the mortgage relief. Let us look at what
I'm saying just overall his
Yes,
psyche.
yes,
the whole-
yes.
How has this shaken him, if it has, or how strong is he? And should we? I'm asking this question so that people may understand that the prime minister is solid as a rock, so to speak, to use
You
the
know,
term for the
listen,
PLP.
people who know the PM
Mhm.
knows that the one mistake you shouldn't make is to sell him short, is to work on the premise that he is a weak person, that you can do whatever you want to do, and he's not going to react. If push comes to shove and you put him in the corner, he's going to fight his way out of that corner. The one thing he protects with his life is his integrity. And the one thing all of us, the most salient thing that we admire about him is that he will never, ever compromise the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to anyone. Oh, Mr. Davis, anyone. I don't care what kind of money they got. I don't care what they offer. It will never, ever happen when it comes to his love for his country. Both men will not compromise. Now, what is interesting, you mentioned the situation with mortgage relief. Isn't it interesting, Steve, that the Prime Minister met with the three major banks, Royal Bank, Scotia Bank, and CIBC. And when he went down the road, each one of them tell them they want their full amount. They want all the money what the baby people owe them. They want this and that. All those erroneous charges, all those charges that had nothing to do with their loans. Okay? But they call all kind of different fees that they push in there to really kill poor people.
Mhm.
It came to my knowledge just last week one of the major banks in this country, sat down with a Mexican consortium, a Nazi consortium, and was selling them all of those loans at 28 cents on the dollar.
No,
I said in Parliament, you didn't listen to me last week,
no, I didn't listen, I didn't hear.
28 cents on the dollar. The government got word of it and stopped the deal. And I said in Parliament, now, the same deal they give to the Mexicans, they must now give to the government of the Bahamas through the mortgage corporation or through whatever entity we would wish to have it done through at that same price. And the government now has an opportunity, or should, in fact, should be demanded to go and borrow about $200 million on behalf of the Bahamian people and buy all of those loans and reconstruct those loans in the best interest of the Bahamian people. One bank has already done so, and the other bank said they were prepared to follow suit to the Mexicans. The Mexicans. 28 cents on the dollar. With no extra charges.
Why would they do that, not look at the accountability of the Bahamian people?
Because they don't give a damn. They don't care about us. That's obvious, most of them. You know the billions of dollars that those three banks would have made on the backs of the Bahamian people over the last 30 years, probably more than $1 billion each. Look at our rates that we charge. 12, 14, 16, 18% they used to charge. Take it out. But in their own home country, they were charging 3, 4, 5, 6, 7%. Right now, the interest rate in the United States is 1%. In Europe, is 0. The central bank lends money at 0%. But if you can get away with it, and plus we don't have any taxes. Unlike Barbados and other countries in the Caribbean, you know, we don't have no corporate taxes. We don't have no excise taxes. We don't have no capital gains. We don't have it. So they make more money here than they make anywhere else. Of course, you got bad loans.
This point is taken. But
You got bad loans.
What's to happen now, having uncovered this information?
Yes.
What's to happen now on behalf of the Bahamian people that would profit the Bahamian people from some intervention by the Christie administration? Now that he's found that out, does it mean that it's stopped and neutralized? Does it mean that you're going to be able to convince those same banking entities that this is going to be applicable to the Bahamian situation and people will save their homes?
And that's exactly what needs to take place.
I mean, it's a suggestion.
Sell to me what you were selling to the Mexicans, 28 cents on the dollar. I will go and borrow the money, and I will pay you off in full, and I will then reconstitute those loans on behalf of the Bahamian people, either through the mortgage corp or whatever other entity you want to call it, and enable those people to get back on their feet and retain their homes. We have an obligation to do so as a government. And I said it last week, and I challenged the government to do it. And I will continue to challenge them and continue to hit them if they don't do it. The same thing with Bahama. I said last week, Prime Minister, it's now time to revisit the hotel corporation. We had to do it before. We did it before when Emerald Beach, Sonesta Beach,
Cable Beach, I remember.
all that hotels was being sold. The government went in there, Lyndon, God bless him, to save 3,000 jobs. We had to buy the hotels. Didn't want to do it. The government, that's the last thing the government wanted to do. But you had no choice because the operators were moving over. The hotel corporation was formed, I think back in 1979 or something, what have you. But it was formed for the purpose. And we also bought some hotels bought one, I think, in Freeport and one or two in Andros.
Andros.
That were closing out.
Atlanta's Club.
Okay. You've reached a situation now where Bahama and Mr. Israeli put up this hell of a nice structure, run short of funds for whatever means. I'm not going to get into it. Last week, their director, the gentleman from Superwash, Mr.
Denisio, the
Diagula,
former director,
said that the government should auction off the hotel. But the government doesn't have the right to auction off the hotel. It's not the government hotel. However, the lease on the land that those hotels are situated on belongs to the people of the Bahamas. And God bless us that we didn't sell it. It is a lease. Therefore, I said in Parliament, I know of no helicopter that could come to the Bahamas, put a string on the roof of those hotels and lift them off the ground. So they are here, appreciating that. We must now, in my opinion again, maybe borrow another $300 million, go and sit with Israeli and them, and work a situation that, listen, we got to open this hotel, we got to finish this. and go to the Chinese and say, listen, you had every opportunity to complete this project. It's been sitting now for over 6 months. We've given you every incentive available to get this project off the ground. Wasn't their fault that it happened. Let us complete the project if you don't have the intention of completing it. Let us then find someone to operate it, or we can sell it to you. Then put those funds into a special fund, the sovereign fund. Put them in the sovereign fund for future payments that we get preferential shares in this company when it turns around. But you got to put pressure to the Chinese. I was with the PM today, when he was in Parliament, and he came outside, and the 3 Chinese men who were there, for what reason, I don't know. They said, Prime Minister, how's everything today? And he says, never well until you all get Bahama open. I said, what'd you say? He said, I tell them every time I see them, get Bahama open.
But can Bahama, Mr. Miller, be salvaged? Can it really be salvaged at this particular stage, all things considered?
It is over 90% complete. Listen, it's a beautiful structure. You realize that a lot of things went down. People say a lot of money is missing, etc., etc. We don't want to go there because maybe people have no interest in that. Our interest is in getting those jobs, getting that place open, to get those doors open that Bahamians can go there and earn a
I hear you, but that's an objective of the government. See, the Chinese ain't interested in helping prop up the PLP.
That's fine, but our job is looking for our people.
Yeah, I hear you, but I'm saying to you, let's not lose sight of this, and let's be cognizant of this fact.
Yes.
Like the Chinese,
Yes.
or like the banks that you've just talked
Yes.
about. We would like to see these banks get in line and really deal with the Bahamian people fairly.
Yes.
I'm for that. 1 million% of this,
Yes.
such a thing. But you can make them sell you what they were selling the Mexicans. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that how do you know that they have 2 cents in interest in having the PLP government be able to bail itself out of this mess of not being able to provide mortgage relief, and that they should be a conduit for the government of the Bahamas to look good at the end of the election cycle? That ain't their business. They care less about it.
When we won the government in 2002, an honorable Prime Minister appointed me as Minister of Trade and Industry. I was the first minister in the government of the Bahamas to be invited to China. As Minister of Trade and Industry, I spent 3 weeks in China, and I sort of got to know the Minister of Trade and the other ministers there. And from the vantage point that we took, with the team that we took, the Chinese simply want you to give them the respect and visit them and say, listen, man, we have a problem. You have this wonderful structure in my country. However, it's not open. And sit with the president of China face to face,
You've been saying that,
to man,
but no one is
and say, stop asking you on behalf
You're very
of the
good
Bahamian
friends not
people.
taking that advice.
On behalf of the Bahamian people. I think he's looking at doing it now. Please, sir, I need your assurance that the project will be. Now, what I understand, apparently the fellows who were here and the China Import-Export Bank
The agents
was
of
wish
that.
for him not to go there
I see.
because they don't want the president there to know the true story of what is happening here. I was told that they would wish for him to say, every time they meet with them now, they say, we working it out. Please don't go there.
Don't go to Beijing.
No. Let us work this out ourselves. I don't want you to see the president because some heads gonna roll
6+
and
months.
some fellas they go up against the firing squad. This is a serious problem. If the hotels stay true to some of it being open, and the elements were to get in that hotel, you're talking about another $100 million to repair it. I was told last week, some people came here with the Ministry of Works and some other people to investigate, look at the plumbing, look at the electrical. They say in a lot of the plumbing lines, there's concrete that was poured in some of those lines. People meant to cause serious harm to that hotel. Those who were working on the project. It's a total disgrace that you could put in your head that you're out there to destroy.
So this
magnitude.
goes back to my point. Is it salvageable? Because the amount of things, see, on one hand, we've been hearing, this hotel has not been built properly. It's shortly worked straight through by the Chinese construction company. On the other hand, you call it a beautiful, wonderful edifice that's standing out there. And on the other hand, people are pouring stuff in the walls and the concrete in the pipes of these things. So
I'm doing.
that's why I asked you that question. Is it salvageable? And
Steve,
can Christie is Christie interested?
The
Mr. Miller?
amount of money at stake, man.
Yeah, I hear you, but is
Our
Christie even
country is,
interested now?
yes, he is interested.
Is he interested in going to Beijing?
He
Is he
spent,
interested in?
day and night trying to get an answer and trying to work the situation out on behalf of our people that it must be open. Unfortunately, he doesn't call the final shots. We don't write the checks. The Christie government doesn't write the checks for the China Import-Export Bank, nor do we write the checks for China Construction. That's why I said on your show long ago, before anybody said it. But when we saw those dark clouds on the horizon, I said, Prime Minister, please. I said, take Obi Wilscombe, James Smith, Michael Keelis, and if you want to take someone from the AG's office, take them. But please go to China and sit with the president man to man and say, sign me on behalf of the people. I realize you have a problem with this Ms. Million and this group. I'm not here for that. I'm here for my people that I'm asking you. Please, I need your assurance that work will continue and hold it open on a specific date or in a time frame that is necessary to enable our people to get those jobs. I still hope that that happens more sooner than later.
We're talking with Leslie Miller this evening on Hard Copy. We take your calls after the break at 325-023546. Any number of issues on the table here. When I come back from the break, I also want to ask Mr. Miller about the government. Can the government find solutions to the lack of jobs problems that we have in the Bahamas within the next 6 to 8 months? Why put a time on it? Because the elections are in the air. Can the government find a solution to this joblessness in the Bahamas within the next 6 to 8 months? And then, of course, on the other end of it, from a cultural point of view, we've got some viewpoints as well that we want to share with Mr. Miller. You could be our guest. 325-023546 is how you can call us. Send me also a text message or WhatsApp at 3769234. We're running to the break. This is Hard Copy on a Monday, the first day of the week of Holy Week, a time when resignations are flowing. 2 down so far. Are there any more to come? And will they come from the governing side? We'll ask Mr. Miller some more about that too when we come back. This is Hard Copy.
Yes, Steve, listen, this is barefoot marketing.
I will run to the bathroom. Hold your door.
How you Grammy doing on this week? Sure, right, you know. Yeah, I got it. I'm going to see it about
My buddy was very good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, man. Yeah, he wrote together two positions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just arguing. That's who find it, you know.
She's a little side.
Yeah, that's what happened. I'm on Steve Show.
I need my clothes clean.
That's 97.5.
Sorry, I don't think I'm seeing you.
No, sorry.
Talking about-
107.5.
Yeah, you could drop off your clothes now. Okay, when you pick up, you lie. I lying. They just send you an email when your order ready, and if you forget, they
Welcome back to Hard Copy on this Monday, and things are heating up on the Bahamian front, and in some cases, all is well. In other cases, it's very troubling. In some other cases, very unnerving. In some cases, time to confess with a contrite heart, and even in some cases, resignations being penned as we speak. Are there any more? Pintar did his today from both the Senate and, of course, the party as the chairman of the party. And I'm sure that Bradley Roberts is beaming, ear to ear smiling, because he had said some time ago that he was calling for this to happen, and also called for that to happen with Minnis. There's a lot of talk out there on the streets as we speak about who else has been talking with these two apparently, quote unquote, unsavory characters who in fact have been named in these affidavits. And so there are some others who are expected to tender resignation. And this has also even sparked some of the Ingramites to start jumping up and down and saying, boy, if Minnis will have to resign, Ingram would have already gotten things back his way, even if Mr. Ingram, in this case I say poor Ingram, even if he is not guilty of being somewhere close to the making of all this uncertainty, he's getting the blame for it anyway. So poor Ingram, if you're listening, you better get ready, because there are some other things that are flying around, and some F&Ms may just love the sound of that, because you know that Minnis has been under great pressure within his own party from people who believe that he should resign because he can't, as they say on the streets, from one fellow we know, one lawyer, that he can't generate enough electricity to execute a mosquito, is what some people think. Of course, others think that Minnis is ready and that he's the man. We'll see. Let's take some calls, Mr. Miller. Leslie Miller joins me on the show this afternoon. We're talking any number of things. Hard Copy, how are you?
Hello.
Thanks for your call. I'm listening, sir. Go ahead with your question.
Hello.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
First one is to chime in as it relates to the road.
Yeah, Anton, you want to use the regular phone that you use so we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm using. Sorry, I got it on speaker. I didn't realize. Just wanted to chime in as it relates to the rest of the party and the government over the last 4 years. Personally, I believe that the government is doing an excellent job. Now, there are some challenges in some areas, more so than there are in others, such as crime, right? But the government is not for lack of trying, right? As it relates to unemployment, those numbers need to improve as well. But if you look at what the government has done overall in terms of this economy and stabilizing it, especially the deficit spending, the government deserves an A plus on that, because they inherited a $500 million debt, and they have reduced that deficit by 75%, and it will continue to reduce once the PLP is returned to governance 2017. If you look at what it has done for the minimum wage right across the board, a major strike for minimum wage staff in the country, an increase of 20%. Okay, if you look at what it is doing with BEC, what it is doing with Bahamas, what it is doing with water and sewage, reducing the net losses in those areas. And Mr. Miller was the chairman who presided over the major decrease that was underway, well underway, the BEC. And so it's good that he's in the studio to speak to that. And if you look at the government expenses period, there's a major reduction of over $100 million in terms of the reduction of government spending. If you look at what the government is doing in terms of the major investments that are coming along on stream on the Family Island, they're going to help tremendously in reducing the unemployment in this country. If you look at what's happening in Grand Bahama, Grand Bahama is slowly and certainly surely being revitalized, especially with some of the agreements that the government would have signed recently, like with the Grand Bahama shipyard, where 600 Bahamians will be employed over the next 2 years, and they will send home the foreigners who are occupying those jobs. Now, that is the kind of governance that I am proud of. And so I am proud to say that I support the Progressive Liberal Party and the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie. And I pray that come 2017, they are returned to governance. Now, as it relates to this Nygaard matter, Mr. Nygaard and Mr. Bacon themselves have stated from their own lips that Mr. Christie is in none of the back pockets, and they are both satisfied to that effect. Okay? If you look from a perspective of law and order, this matter is before the Commissioner of Police, and it's being anyone. He will let law and order take its due course with the due process and the democratic system. And that's the kind of stable leadership that you need in our country. God bless and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, I appreciate your call. You were saying something, put him in your wall.
I believe we need to put him in the war room when the election comes. Sound like a good fellow.
Well, at least he's talking stuff that is music to your ear. Hard copy, how are you? Yes, sir. Yeah, speak up for me, please, so I can understand you. Go ahead, sir.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
First of all, I'd like to say I hope you all having a good day. Especially Mr. Miller.
Thank you, sir.
I must say that he is the true, lover of us, even people he really stands and talks for us. But Mr. McKinney, I can be honest with you, and Tony is sick in the brain. Man, is too polarized. He is too polarized. Mr. Miller,
Yes, sir.
you're a businessman.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk to you. Mr. Miller, if you and your businesses had employees and management who are untransparent and unaccountable,
Yes.
do you think would happen to your business, Mr. Miller?
Well, I mean, it depends on what aspect are you talking about. I mean, you run a business to make a profit.
No, I asked you what will happen to your business if you have people who are unaccountable and untransparent.
The business would probably fail.
I don't know what you say.
I said the business would probably fail depending on the type of business you're in, on the accountability factor that needs to be adhered to by each and every employee.
Mr. Miller, what I really say is this. In our country, PLP, they seem not to even do the basic things, right? They're unaccountable, untransparent.
Now, when you say unaccountable, unaccountable and non-transparent in which respect?
In many ways, in every category.
Give me a couple of examples if you can.
But there's issues with Banzi, that's not every single thing, bank bombs, we still don't know who owns money. Nobody talks to us, no, it's untransparent, unaccountable. To be honest, to the foremost, we are in 2012, they lied to the people. We get in power. They
Getting what?
nothing. You got worse. Now they put bad on us. They didn't put bad on the campaign promise. Unaccountable, untransparent, and yet you can't do the basic things right. You can't even tell us the truth. You can get information, but yet you're talking about Bahama. You can't even do the basic things right. What about basic things?
All right, let me answer you. Go ahead.
Listen, when he said basic things, he said that the promises that were made, what came into effect, because the country found themselves in such a perilous financial condition that even Mr. Ingram said that if he had retained his government, what was coming? There's no ifs and buts about that. What was in the pipeline when we took over the government. So what was a reality was going to step in anyhow. But you don't have a choice. If the Bahamas government had not taken the tough stand that they took in forcing VAT upon us, and our dollar was to be devalued, no country has ever come back in the history of mankind from a devalued currency and came back to their natural place in the economic spree of the world. None. Jamaica has been in that situation now since about 1973, 74. And it hasn't gotten better, it's gotten worse. So to save the country, we had to do make some very difficult decisions. With regard to transparency, I don't understand. I mean, what is the hidden agenda of the Progressive Labour Party? Questions are asked in Parliament. Most of them are answered. The newspapers, honest to God, I mean, they bring out everything they can bring out on a daily basis. I don't understand the caller saying there's not transparency.
I suppose he wants to see a voluntary kind of information output, and I suppose he can lay that to the Information Act. He can lay that to just
government does
voluntary put out information about this is what we're doing, this is what we're
He asked about the
spending.
Bank of the Bahamas.
Mhm.
No bank give out information on their customers. It's not the public's business.
No, it isn't.
That's why we got bank secrecy laws in the Bahamas.
Mhm.
But everybody don't know what somebody owes, so they can talk about it. That's what you get bank secrecy for.
But there's no secrecy on Carnival.
No, there's no secrecy there. In fact, I'm surprised and disappointed, just like you are and other people, that the same crew what they have there again, with a crew who, as far as I'm concerned, screwed up the last one and they're back again.
Mhm.
I take offense to that, to be honest with you.
They're back for more.
Okay? I guess. I don't
No,
know.
I'm just saying.
Well, I say it's the same crew.
See, what I'm saying about it is that there's no accountability in that case, if I can help the young man
It's
out.
the same
Because
group.
We never got the report from the accountants. There's never been anything tabled in the House of Assembly, though it was promised.
No.
And as a result of it, people are now saying, well,
I-
how do we go and do this again?
I
if
agree
there's
with
been
him
no accountants?
wholeheartedly on that point.
So that's perhaps a better
Wholeheartedly.
example. He talked about BOB,
Wholeheartedly.
but
I agree
really the
wholeheartedly.
truth is on this count. And we'll talk
I
a
agree
little
with
more
him.
about that
I agree with him.
as the lines light up here.
I
This
can't
evening.
even,
Hard copy, how are you?
Yes, hello, Dr. Sidney Kenny, and hello, Mr. Miller.
how are you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm fine.
Good, sir.
I'm calling on, I hear you say about saving the country. Two things I want to say. The first one, whether referendum with the Dane or the Prime Minister, the people that vote against it, no. And he did Silver and True with it, correct? When I look at it, and if he did then do it, so many other thousand people would be out of job, correct?
Yes?
All right, now, so since he do that, I was saying, why did he go wild lotto that people would buy from the United States, England,
Mhm.
China, and all of this?
Right?
If you have that, you could pay off the national debt in 1 year.
I don't know why listen, man, where do you all get these figures from? Honest to God. It's like me listening to these people on the radio every day, talking about aragonite, talking about salt, talking about oil.
Listen to
Do
me,
you all-
listen here. Let me ask this, I'm asking you so you can tell me. If you have a world lotto
Yes, sir.
that every nation could buy from the Bahamas, correct? And it's go up to millions of dollars if you pay off
Well-
Venice, whoever it is, you have some people living here
Right.
in the Bahamas.
Right.
You don't think that you have enough money to pay off the national debt?
I don't think so, sir, because
Don't
in the
think
in the
so.
United States of
Okay.
America, okay, in the
Well, I
United
wanna
States
ask
of
you,
America,
that the
sir.
Prime
Sir.
Minister
Yeah.
and Brave David, they love the payment people and
Yes.
they care for them living themselves.
Yes, sir.
The Paris Island going to work, and the taxi drivers them, and the tour company was taking out random cars. And if you'd love the people, why these people were charged with all of these charges when they even know nothing about? And take,
How could the
and he
government
said that
interfere?
people could go to work. I don't think he loves the people.
How can the
Come on.
government interfere with what the police are doing? The police has a job to do, Steve.
Yeah.
How can the government interfere?
But you know what this man is saying.
Yes, I understand. Listen, he's saying that
He's
what took
saying
place on Paradise
it
Island
ought not
with
to
the
have
police
happened.
interference should not have happened. I accept that.
Mhm.
And in some ways, I agree with him totally. But whoever should see, what I don't understand, the Prime Minister knows how to meet with the people on Paradise Island.
Yeah.
Apparently, he came and then said that they had an understanding.
Mhm.
You know how I see it? I see it as gross disrespect
Right, that's how
on
I
these
saw it.
operators of this hotel
Yes.
saying, oh, you're the Prime Minister?
Yeah, but we
I have a
ain't
meeting with
gonna
you. I got no respect for you. So I'm going to do what I have to do. Now, had this been Cylinder and those, it would have been a different story. They take kindness for weakness.
Mhm.
You know, and, you know, in the old days, the fellas wouldn't have put up with it. Okay?
Well, one thing is for sure.
And I resent them doing that. It's
Yeah.
just like the 32 people who were laid off last week. I understand the minister met with them.
Mhm.
And some other high government, listen, man, at this point in time, we wish that you not do this. Redeploy these people elsewhere. Yet Mr. Fields come out and say they will not be deployed anywhere on the property. So that to me is gross defiance in the face of a government that has given you all those incentives to labor you, to make money off your hotel. Yet for 32 jobs, and I understand only about 2 of those jobs were foreign foreigners.
Mhm.
Do you know how many foreigners they got on Paradise Island?
Well, I can tell you
It's
this,
a slap in the face to the average Bahamian.
Mr. Miller, there may even be more to come because this could be a game of
Could be,
checkers
yeah.
or chess. They're testing the strength, the
Yes,
courage of
Yes.
your prime minister
Yes.
and my prime minister,
yes,
your leader of
Yes.
your party. They're testing the strength because they see where a group called Access, who's in connection with the Brooksfield group, that
who is this access? That's hell of a game.
Access.
Access, when you deny me access,
Access is a group called
Who-
Access Investment.
who are they?
This is a group that has been, that is.
Who own this
owns
property
the
next door
next
to
property,
the Grand Hotel?
That to the Brooksfield people said that they, in fact, sold it to whoever they are. I can't put a face with it, but we know Lennox Payton and that particular law firm acts on their
Representative.
behalf. But what I'm saying is this: yes, we saw it as gross, I suppose, disrespect.
Yes,
And we said that, and because of the prime minister had influenced people to tell them that the fence was coming down or was down,
Mhm.
and the people went over there. The people now see that as him doing that to the hood, menacing them from going across the island and marching. Didn't work. Prime minister get left holding this
Mhm.
bag in a way that they still did what they did, notwithstanding that the man negotiated with them all hours of the night to make sure they didn't have a problem. I saw something about that, and I asked it right here on the show. Is the Prime Minister lying to us, or were these guys just that
I think that's that bold and
presumptuous?
presumptuous.
Yeah, and nothing happened out of it. So,
And if this, if this
when
was the old
Brooksfield-
days,
but Mr. Miller, if nothing happened on the beach access thing where the Prime Minister himself had backup from the Bahamian people, we all behaved in this.
Yes.
If he didn't back them up, and they had him to back up on this matter, Brooksfield and them can lay off any amount of people because they then see that the people have been divided against the nation's
don't
chief
you blame
executive
it?
and the governing party, because it looked as if the governing party was part and parcel of this hostile takeover of the People's Beach, and the PM said nothing. See, and I wonder if Port Cake had any viewpoints on how this whole beach thing happened now that we're talking
No,
about.
what would happen, Steve? Listen, in the old days, people like Cylinder and Mr. Hanna, that would have taken place. You got 40 working permits. Tomorrow you got to take. You know, Mr. Hanna told me something a long time ago. He and Mr. Francis. There's one thing the white man understands is raw power. When you have raw power, he treats you as an equal. When you diminish that power, he treats you the way he normally treats you, as a nothing. You know, if I had a meeting with you in the night and I said, listen, man, I need a break. You can't have the people, you gotta take this fence down.
Of course.
And we shake hands on that, and the next day, whoever you say this access group, whoever the hell they are, and I don't care where they're from, then go and say, you will not march on my property to get to the beach. There's something wrong with it. It tells you that it is lack of disrespect for
A lack of respect.
yes,
It's
for
gross disrespect.
the government.
Yeah.
Lack of total disrespect for the government,
Mhm.
that I can care less when I meet with you. I don't see you as being on par with me, and we're not doing what I'm in the property now. We're not building. We simply want these people off our land. So we're not going to give me any access to go and sell their wares to the tourists, because a few months ago, a tourist was molested by one jet skier, and he is probably of the same ilk as you guys, trying to hustle and get a couple of dollars, and we simply don't want to see anymore. So they were sending a clear statement: do not trespass on our property. That's what it was saying. Now the government has to make a decision. What do we do?
Yeah.
That's their decision.
Well,
I'm not a part of that equation.
yeah, but you should be, because every Bahamian it's our beach, and the holidays come up now, and Easter Monday is the beginning of the kickoff to go to the beach. And I'm telling you,
Well, I'm hoping that on
Easter
Friday
Monday.
and Monday, we can get the bays, and let all of us go on Life with Kid and go on them nice beaches. I'm hoping that the bays can happen.
you're being
The boys
mischievous.
of the bays.
You're being mischievous. You're not gonna see that. Hi, Copy, how are you?
Hello,
Yes, sir.
Mr. McKinney, good evening, man.
Yes, how are you?
Yes, sir, good evening to the Port Cake.
Good evening to you, sir.
And you know, man, you're one of my favorites.
Appreciate it, sir.
But Port Cake, listen,
Yes, sir.
man, and I want you to go down like how we are beginning to know you, you know.
Mhm.
I don't want you to fall up, man.
I can never fold, my brother. I'm from McCullough Corner.
Thank you very much. You know, you beat me to the punch.
I don't
But
fold.
listen to this. See, when it comes to the beach access,
Yes.
that you ain't the kind of man who beat around the bush with man like that now.
No.
I listened to Mr. Kitty asking his question,
Mm.
and you ain't the kind of man who beat around the bush like that. But having said that, Mr. Miller, man, listen, man, these fellas make the BC move on you, unbeknownst to you.
Ain't nothing I gotta do with that.
He's a part of the inside joke. When I saw Sideburns had them singing there, catting the little part.
Yeah, that was nice. That was very
nice
good. I
thing.
really
Then
appreciate
touched
that.
my heart.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that
said,
was-
yeah, but I ain't touched their heart, but they kick him out, and he ain't tell him nothing.
Exactly.
The union didn't tell him.
Give me
I
a
know what he did.
food. But it's all right. We did what we had to do while we were there.
Mr. McKinney, I mean,
And God willing, we will be back.
okay, so record sales these days now. So, he tells you this. Now the Port Cake is on record telling us again that the deal at BC is making no sense.
I said it, and I would stick with my word.
And this man, Mr. McKinney, you know, thank God, you got the station here. If you was to play the amount of things that the Portuguese had spoken to this government, don't be surprised.
Yeah, I won't be surprised. I've been playing them, and I know what you're saying.
And I'm telling you, so Portuguese, please, man, and let me just chime in on the NIGOD thing. And Portuguese, come on, man. The government has to be the main group or party that you have to look at in the whole matter.
Oh,
What you mean, how?
oh,
Because of Mr. Peter Nygaard. Mr. Peter Nygaard
yes.
is clearly talking about his relationship to and with the government.
Okay.
For example, I know you must agree with me that the stem cell legislation is Peter Nygaard legislation.
He did indicate as such.
Yes, sir. So that's what I'm saying. Now, Mr. Nygaard is on record saying, can you imagine if the government loses the election? And watch me. And I can tell you how I know, because that's what I always try to tell Mr. McKinney. If it was me, I would have given this man a piece of property long time.
I got to run on that. We have lots of calls, so I have got to go to them very quickly to try to mix this in with the calls on this first day of the Holy Weekend. People are resigning. This person says, "Good evening, Steve. All this blatant disrespect of the Prime Minister speaks to an underlying concern that the man in the seat of Prime Minister is the problem and have not brought respect and honor to the office. Stop trying to make deals and just enforce the laws. Just how you treated Sarkis developer of Bahama, do the same across the board. Why are expats still working at Bahama in finance, security, engineering, operations, while Bahamians can do the same or can do the job sitting at home, losing their homes?" Is what this person is saying. Many text messages and WhatsApp coming here in this evening on hard copy. We're going to post most of them, but I'll read as many as I can. Hard copy, how you doing?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. McKinney.
Hi, Ms. Bullitt. How are you?
I'm fine, and good afternoon to your guest.
Good afternoon.
So my little 2 cents, I believe it will make sense from my point of view. I just want to read something from Isaiah 28. "And these two have gone astray to wine and to strong drink, wondering about priests and prophets have gone astray to strong drink. They are swallowed up in wine. They wander about through strong drink. They go astray in visions. They stumble in right ruling. For all tables shall be covered with vomit. No place without filth." Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 18. "For from the least of them, even to the greatest of them, they are all greedy for gain. And from the prophets, even to the priests, all act falsely." Just pray that we all be ready when God comes back. Thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate your
Thank
call.
you so much.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you very much.
a lot of people this weekend past in conversations I had
Yes.
have been saying that, things are really in a bad way in the Bahamas. So we've got to not only pray for us as individuals, but pray for the country and
Yes.
pray for the leaders of this country
Yes.
soberly and seriously, because they need to have something to put them back on track. Just for information. This person by text says, "If the Chinese are afraid of the Prime Minister going to China, as Mr. Miller say, then he should give them a timeline to complete, or they will face the firing squad. Also tell Beijing, you finish or we take it." Says the way Mr. Miller talks about how Mr. Pinland deals with matters in reference to foreigners, investors, or foreigners and investors, as opposed to Mr. Christie way of dealing with them, amplifies how weak Mr. Christie really is what that person is saying. And this one says, "Mr. McKinney, what is Andon's problem? He has something to say on every matter and never anything against the horrible PLD body. Sounds like a woman with a criminal child. And when you get caught, she says, 'Not my good child.'" Wow, that dog. And Mr. Miller is just about to recruit him for the war room. Hard copy, how are you?
Mr. McKinney,
Sir?
wonderful show and a wonderful guest you are, Mr. Miller. Tell Mr. Miller just keep up the work that you're doing on behalf of the American people. Mr. McKinney, I want to say something, and I really would like Mr. Miller, the member of Parliament, to comment on this. While we are really, in my view, wasting a lot of time with this internal battle, there's something major going on, and I really hope that the government has their eye open up and there's a strategy in place for it. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Starwood, one of the leading 13, just signed an agreement to renovate some 5 old ancient hotels in Cuba, in Havana. Second to that, I understand on Bloomberg that up to next week, I think in Miami or New York, there's going to be a signing deal with all the cruise ships that comes in the Caribbean, including the Norwegian, the Carnival, and all of them, to start making drops off cruise ship tourists to Havana. You're aware that the president is down there, and I think it's an economic and a political view that Obama and the Americans do not want the Chinese in Cuba. That's very important, I think, to them. That's why I think Obama really made that move to go down there. I think for the amount of kids coming out of school who's looking for jobs, those who come from college who want to come back, I think we really need to get the minds together and expand agriculture, fisheries products.
No, we need to diversify and expand our economic business.
On sea, the learning fishing in a cooperative way. We need to develop more entrepreneurs because whether we believe it or not, Cuba is going to take a lot from our GDP. And that would spend disaster for us. I want Mr. Miller, someone of the main people elected in Parliament, with the strategy the government has in terms of beefing up the Bahamas internationally in a meaningful way, really get this crime cut down, Cuban crime. And I look at the amount of American investors and Europeans talking about going into Cuba because Cuba's been shut down for 50 years. We have some serious work to do, and we need to drop all the big talks away and really get this country in a direction we need to. I think this government could do it, but I think they just need the internal people trying to put that away and deal with a serious issue with the Cubans because they are really getting their country together. I'll listen to Mr. Miller comment.
I appreciate you.
So, I'm so happy that you made the comments that you did because I've been an advocate of the further diversification and expansion of our economy now for the last 30 plus years. Little has been done towards that end, and this has been going on really since the Clinton administration, Mr. Ingram and those two. They have relied so much on tourism, this fickle industry that we have in the Bahamas, that anytime there's a problem, the whole country suffers. We have every opportunity to diversify. First of all, Bahamians don't patronize, even the government does not patronize Bahamian-made products. They put you into business by sending you to the development bank to get a loan, and then run your own business by not patronizing the industry. So, it's a hell of a situation to be, and that's why the entrepreneurial class in this country are the same old entrepreneurs that go into the mercantile business, bring in products from the United States, sell it. If things get tough, I close down and bring another product in. Until we appreciate what it is to be Bahamian, until the government appreciate that they have a role to play in saying to those small businesses that are successful in our country, especially those businesses that are import entity substitutes, that they are given every opportunity to succeed. We're never going to go anywhere, man. But I must blame the Bahamian people. You all simply refuse to patronize and to help assist the small business in this country, especially those of us who produce products for our country. You rather import over our products, and that's why we are suffering, and that's why the country ain't going nowhere.
Well, I'll tell you this, that we have been saying for quite a number of years that the opening of Cuba will, in fact, spark some problems for us.
Yes, it is a serious problem.
We spoke to the Minister of Tourism. He believes that they'll be able to work something where there is a kind of a hub that
but every other country in the Caribbean going to do the same thing, right?
And we have an inlet there where we have already gone into Cuba and done some things to show our commitment.
Yeah, but airlifts and what have you.
Yeah. So I see that, but of course, what the gentleman is talking about is very real, and we ought to get even more focused and serious. Hard copy, how are you?
Good evening, Steve.
Peace.
Mr. Miller.
Good evening, sir.
How you doing?
The last call made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But Mr. Miller, just one point I want to bring to your attention.
Yes,
you
sir.
said that no country has rebounded from the devaluation.
Yes.
And that's not true.
But small countries like us in the Caribbean, South and Central America.
All right. Well, you didn't say that.
Yeah, sorry.
Just so we all know, Canada did rebound.
Who?
Canada, yeah.
Yeah, but listen, Canada is bigger than the United States,
US dollar, but 3 years ago,
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Nothing much to call home to, but we get the point, it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, Mr. Miller, is I have two questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
The Bahamas government is hosting the IDB event, right?
Mm-hmm. Down at Bahama.
At Bahama.
That's all.
So who authorized that? My question is, who authorized the use of the building?
It depends to me from what I saw in the newspapers. The Chinese have given the government permission to use that. I thought it's ironic, really, because I would have thought that, you know, to put emphasis on that property now by having the IEB conference there, and the people are not competing the hotel. You know, to me that doesn't bode well. When you're dealing with the Chinese to say, listen, I'm finished the hotel. The guys, oh, you can use the center. What the hell I want to use the center for? I want you to open the hotel. So I'm hoping that maybe after this conference, they would then see fit to then restart construction and get it finished, right?
Yeah, but when I be more specific, when I say who authorized it.
It was authorized by the Chinese. That's who owned the hotel.
Yeah, but you can't just say the Chinese. Was it the president of China?
It's probably the China Import-Export Bank. They're the ones who carry the mortgage. So they're the ones who call the shot.
Okay, we had the word probably, and the reason I say that is.
But it's not China construction.
China involved in this authorization to use the hotel. Because,
yes.
I say that because in your quest for to have Prime Minister talk to the president of China,
yes.
if in fact, and we don't know what the fact, I'm only saying if, spoke to him about using the hotel for this purpose, because you the same opportunity to speak to him about. What's your allegation?
I don't think that opening or using a convention center on a structure that they own would get to the office of the prime minister. At least way above that. You know, China is one of the wealthiest countries now in the world as far as foreign reserves. They got $3 trillion in foreign reserves.
Yeah.
The magnitude of their investments around the world in the Bahamas is really insignificant compared to where else they have been.
Absolutely.
I just think a situation where the prime minister met with the import or spoke with the Import-Export Bank, and he had anticipated that by this time it would have been open. So on that premise, he made a commitment to the IDB that it would be held at that center, with him believing at that time that I was committed. Now remember, that was done 2 years ago.
Yeah. I would think, Patrick.
They just lived up to their commitment, at least as far as holding the conference there. That's all it is.
I would think, Patrick, to add to
but that wouldn't go to the president of China. You know,
I don't think so. But I would think, Pat, that a lot of what Miller said about the commitment and them keeping their words on that is true. The other part too is that further embarrassment is not a good move for the Bahamas by the Chinese to have been a part of. Further embarrassment being that we had made that commitment, the place had already been booked, notwithstanding that it isn't open.
Yeah.
And on top of that, this may very well be seen by the Chinese, who are visionaries. This may very well be a good opportunity for the Inter-American Development Bank and their all of those people who they have there, the directors, the people who can make things happen, to take a look, see at that property once and for all. That will be a big PR exercise for the Chinese as well as the Bahamas. More so for the Chinese though, because you remember they're still looking for a buyer. They have not decided to sell to anybody who has come forth thus far, but the IDB, who have been in the business of every country in developing countries to say, you should get this one to fix your roads, this one to buy a pipe, this one to build. They may have some influence of some potential clients in their arsenal that the Chinese may be able to tap into. So this may be twofold in a way, but certainly it's good PR for us that, you know, all is not lost. There is still hope. The hope is that if they can have a convention in this particular place called the Bahama, word will go out to all in every country across the world that the place, they had it just at Bahama. Yeah. What are you talking about? The Bahama is over and done. It's not a ghost town as Bloomberg has reported. It is not just catching dust and sea salt. It is actually open and breathing. So that may be the PR move there. Eh?
That's great. Now, my second question is, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
We are desperately in need of jobs. Do you agree?
No doubt about it, sir.
Right. So how do you then justify the government issuing $40 30,000 work permits to blue-collar workers.
You know,
We have Filipinos, we have other Asians, Latinos, Asians.
where did you get the 40,000 figure from?
Sorry?
Where did you get the 40,000 figure from?
All right, so, I don't want to talk, let me explain that one then.
You guys cut it down.
You cut it down by
That's easy to do.
50%.
And we know you guys gave away more. So
Listen.
let's take the 20,000 what we know about.
For the life of me, I don't understand why is it that those who are responsible for giving out work permits, even the previous government as well as the Progressive Party government, the current government, cannot or will not give us the figures as to how many work permits emanates in our country.
This is what the
And
young.
that bothers me just like it bothers you and everybody
This
else.
is what the young, the
What
earlier
is the
caller
big
was
deal? Let
saying.
me see
There's
how
no
much work permits you
accountability.
give out in jobs that we can do ourselves, and why is it that those people are still here? I think, I agree, it needs to be said. How many, I want to know, be honest with you, I would like to know,
Yeah.
how many people have work permits in this country?
Well, Pat, you make mention of something very, very important, this blue collar worker thing.
Yes,
Because
that's
we can
very,
do
that's
this.
right. That's the average
And
payment.
yes, they are giving out a hell of a lot of work permits there. It is a secret, as the younger caller called earlier. There is no accountability on that matter, and it's just a sad situation. But again, one thing Miller's right about, that we the people are gonna have to press for that.
Yes,
We're gonna have to keep pressing and
I wanna
asking the
know.
question, well, where is it?
what's the big
And
deal?
the opposition must get on the case with this whole matter.
Because the government shouldn't be in the business of making money off work permits.
Not only that.
The government should be in the business of creating jobs for Bahamians.
And that's what they're doing.
That's what they should be in the business of
they're
doing.
Causing Bahamians to be at a disadvantage in the
So,
country.
instead of taking $4,000 a year or $10,000 a year from a foreigner, you could create a job, a well-paying job that people could be doing in this country. Don't tell me we don't have the ability to learn, because our policy used to be, after 3 years, you're out of here. Dion Hanna came in with that policy. And Ada Hanna said after 3 years, if Bahamians ain't trainable, then it means that your firm don't have the ability to train, so you're out of here.
Yeah.
That was the policy.
We have
I don't know what the policy is now.
we have a serious problem. It's even $4,000 a year for blue collar workers. They've only got $800 a year.
But I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying, no matter what it is.
These people do not spend money in a local economy, and that's why we have a flatline economy.
That's true, because they send it all back home. I agree with you.
They spend as little as possible to survive on.
Yes,
Every Haitian, Jamaican,
yes,
Latino,
yes.
Haitian you speak to, every damn one of them will tell you they build a house at home, or they buy
And let me say something to you. This foolishness that Bahamians get in their head on these talk shows and everybody else talking foolishness would be using the Haitian labor. Let me tell you something. In this country today, 6 out of every 10 Mason in this country is a Haitian.
Right.
And their average salary is $100 a day. Most of them, many of them, make $125.
That's right. That's
In this country today,
yeah,
the carpenter, 6 out of 10 are Jamaicans and others. They make $100 to $125 a day in this country. Furthermore, the Haitian labor is $50 to $60 a day as a helper. So ain't nobody giving you no breaks.
No.
But I'll tell you something that is curious. The fellas wake. If you say be to wake at 7, they can be there. The damn Bahamian come at 8:30 and he come in with the food in his hand and he eat first, and by 9 o'clock he on the job, and 10 o'clock he want a snack, and 12 o'clock he get into lunch, and 4 o'clock he packing his bags. That is the difference. Our people need to step to the plate. They need to step to the plate. I say they need to step to the plate.
As soon as you turn your back, the productivity goes down, and they have that self-worth.
I just say they need to step to the plate.
Pat, I gotta run. Many calls. I appreciate it. And by the way, Pat, the Eagle has landed.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. All right. Hard copy. How are you?
Good evening, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Steve, good evening to you and your guest, Mr. Miller.
Good evening to you, sir.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Miller, aware, or are you aware that the fact that those 30 people that were let go from Atlantis, their dismissal was written from the 15th of December?
Yes.
When?
Yes, I'm aware. I said it
The
first.
15th of December?
Look here, we were the first to tell the nation about the close to 450 people who were to be let
I
go.
remember you said that.
All right, we have the records on
You
it.
said it.
But we sit back and we watch to see how things unfold, and then we will go to the tape and play it and show you that we did. There are people that go home still right now, and that's why I'm saying, unfortunately, some people are not respecting the prime minister's power and his office,
And they're not
because
respecting the
they have seen some stuff that they've gotten away with, and they're pushing the envelope. That's what's happening.
Furthermore, they don't respect the heads of agreement, We have in there, how many Bahamian jobs you're gonna give us
Yes,
for the incentive that we give you?
yes.
And on Paradise Island, it's probably nowhere near what was etched in that agreement with the heads, how many people are supposed to be here? Now that they can get away with it, they'll continue to do it.
Well,
And they're not gonna be the only ones, because others gonna follow suit and say, listen, those guys do it, we can do it.
Well, it's a pushback in my view, but yes, we knew a bit from around the early part of December. Absolutely. They were asked to hold off. Some things may shape up. They did that. Things got worse, and so now they're moving. Because one of the things I talked about on this show was after an interview that I did with Mr. Miller earlier in the year, around about July, and the lady had come in from Brooksfield.
Yes.
Who was complaining about the heavy light bill and all. You remember that?
Yes.
And was saying that something had to give.
Yes,
So they had
yes.
started planning right there. Something
Yes.
had to give.
Unless you bought.
But what about
bought
it,
on the
Brett?
cost-
What about it?
No, Steve, I just wanted to say that the government, the Prime Minister office was aware of it because it was his office that asked for a 3-month grace period because
Yes,
it's Christmas time, not to let the people go.
yes.
Can I stop playing into the truth?
Yes, we agree with you. We said it, we knew. We still know some stuff, as I just told you again. There are about 400 jobs on the line right now.
We have, and I hear you daily with High Hopes for Bahama. Steve, the story behind Bahama. Bahama ain't over no time soon.
No.
We got to stop fighting on that, Steve. There's some food on there. Steve, that place is not going to open anytime soon.
But you want the construction to restart, eh?
Yeah, you want that, and that's not going to happen. Not anytime soon.
Well, I hope like hell it happen more sooner than later. You sound like you're talking about it ain't happening between now and the next
18 months.
Eight-
Or
8
14.
months.
No, it's not going to happen before then. But Steve, what I really want to say to you before my minutes run out, you and the Boston need to compare notes on those 2 lists you all have. The country is waiting on you. Get those lists together and start comparing notes to those people that you all have.
Wednesday.
Region is waiting on your Steve.
Wednesday. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He's talking about the list for the replacement. You saw the movie, The Replacement?
The replacement,
Yeah, okay, well, there's now a replacement is happening. We also said on this show, Mr. Miller, from the time that this story broke about Niagara and Bacon, that this will be the undoing of both the PLP and the FNM. That this can destroy the 2 most powerful political parties and reduce them to a particular level where there has to be a convergence of new people coming around to buttress, to stand in the gap, as it were. And what that gentleman is calling about is, who are these potential people who can help to come and help to defend the sovereign
They gotta come
Bahamas?
forward, eh?
Because, and so when is they coming? We will compare
I
those.
see. Okay.
Wouldn't you know that your name has been on that list? Well, you know that. Your name has always been on the list.
What list is this?
The list of the people who will stand in the breach to defend the Bahamas.
I always do that.
Yeah,
That's a little question.
Your name is on the
Little
list.
question.
1 or 2 others of your colleagues on the list, but not very many.
Little question.
Most of your colleagues on the list will go up in smoke like the dump is going up in smoke, is what people tend to think. But that's for Wednesday. That's another day. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Hey, JJ.
Well, say thank you, my brother.
I woke up this morning, my brother. God is always good.
Yeah, good man, good man. Steve, I will make 1 or 2 points, right? And like Mr. Miller said, and one or 2 other scholars over earlier about education. You see, Steve, let me ask Mr. Miller a question.
Yes, sir.
What country is China, sir? What country is China?
What country?
What kind of country? You mean that politics?
Well,
You mean the ideology?
Oh, they're communists.
it's I guess a socialist communist state, whatever
Well, that's right.
terminology.
And they're doing where? Cuba.
Yes,
Where?
yes, not too well.
The countries and it's white, they like America, Canada, and France, and Britain, all them who keep trying to recolonize us. See, the Bahamas, we are not afraid of Cuba. Cuba's one island. We can stay on this island and keep it the Bahamas.
Yes.
There you go.
Like the minister say, we can wait up our economy.
You could get a job with the Ministry of Tourism talking like that.
My point is, they give it from the south to south board. That's a lazy way. We want to start up the east. We can eat.
No.
Listen, this country is so rich. We got all everything in this country, you know. that you call it. The Bible goes to the word and say, we need to put that law on, but think about how to live in the high back man.
We need to bring back the movable property act. I spoke on that when I spoke last week. It must be brought back. But the fellas ain't gonna do it. Yeah, but they ain't gonna do it. Mr. Ingram killed it, and I don't think the fellas making too much money. I would hope, I would pray that he put it back.
Right.
It needs to be put back, but I don't think it can happen.
Well, young people, trust me. You think that you would talk with that bridge?
Huh?
You want to suffer. You talk about the bridge, the dog and the airport, and all that just let get out. Hey, I listen.
I appreciate you.
Listen, we must diversify the economy of this country. We must expand our economic base. We must have other industries that will supplement the tourism sector.
We've heard
no
this
country
time,
can survive
We've
it.
heard this time and time
But they can do it, Steve.
While it's-
There got to be a commitment.
While it makes
The
sense.
government
it
is
sounds
not
like a
committed
cliche.
to it.
Yeah, I know. The
70% of the members of parliament don't buy no local products, man. They are not committed. The ministers
Yeah.
don't buy local products. They are not committed. They're members of parliament, they do it. If it ain't foreign, it ain't no good. You can have little babies with a sticker on their backside saying made elsewhere, not in the Bahamas. We can't even make good children no more. Put a little sticker on them.
I hear you. Mr. Miller, I don't want to lose the day. I have a big question on the board for you.
Yes, sir.
And I said it when we went to the first break.
Yes.
Can the government find solutions to the lack of jobs within the next 6 to 8 months? You know, this is a mandate. You're going to have to find a way to put these people to work. And I don't see anything on the horizon because I don't hear about any foreign investors coming here with the kind of jobs that can happen in the short term. And I call this the short term, 6 to 8 months, because anything after September of this year is now in a different category, a different kettle of fish. So between the next few weeks, next few months, can your government, you think, Mr. Christie, wave the magic wand, as it were, and find something? Does he have any plans in his own mind of diversifying the economy, of trying to grow the economy in a new way by relaxing certain tariffs for behemoths to jump into business and make something? What is there? Because right now we don't see it.
That question takes us back to the viewpoint expressed many years ago by the great Arthur Dion Hanna. He said the time must come when we as a people must decide on what type of country we want to produce for ourselves and not allow foreigners to come in here with their dreams and place it on our shores. And when those dreams become a nightmare, they catch the next flight over here and we are stuck with that nightmare. We as a people got to decide what we want our country to be for Bahamians yet unborn. We got to sit down as a people and say, listen, man, we got to do some things to uplift Bahamians. The government got to be cognizant of the fact that our economy cannot be controlled by outside forces when we have the capacity to do it ourselves. There needs to be a commitment from the Bahamian people, so we fail because our people have failed us. The Bahamians don't want nothing made in the Bahamas. They want the Chiquita banana. They ain't gonna buy the banana from the farm in Andros or Abaco or Exuma or Elutra. They want it to be foreign. If it ain't foreign, it ain't no good. I've been through this for 40 years. We produce pigs in the Bahamas.
You don't see no changes.
It's worse than it was before. The people who keep the small man alive in this country are the potcakes, the average everyday Bahamian. The more educated they have, the more dislike they got for things Bahamian. The more affluent they are, the more dislike they have for things Bahamian. That's why our country is suffering. There's no commitment to this thing called Bahamianization. You didn't even have a word anymore.
No.
When last year the word Bahamianization?
Well, I saw it this morning inside Catherine's, I think that's her name, Nikki Kelly's daughter. Column this morning, talking about this disparity that we have, the fact that we have talked about racism and segregation to the point where the other element of that is this class thing now that we have.
Yes.
And so Bahamianization sparked and created this class thing. So I don't know. I mean, it depends on one's perspective on
Yes,
the whole.
yes.
I always enjoy her column, so it was good reading. But the point is this, that we need to do more, and leadership has to be to the forefront of these things.
Yeah, commitment.
If we want people to do things, we must lead by example.
Exactly. You got to be committed.
So if you are talking about your colleagues in the House of Assembly, in which I agree with you, they believe that it's better if it came from somewhere else. That's a fact. They're not alone. They're a reflection of society.
In every
It came
aspect.
from us. Most of us believe that something foreign is better.
Yes.
We don't want to even eat some Bahamian food now. We have gone so far that jerk chicken and stuff is better than
Exactly.
what we have.
Yeah. The music.
Yeah, everything. We've gone to that level.
7 out of 10 of every music you hear on the average radio station is what? Jamaican.
Yeah.
And Trinidadian. They hardly ever play KB on our own.
And that's perhaps that's perhaps why those stations are average. But you see, that's just it. You've got to push what you want to have happen. You've got to help to change the paradigm. You've got to be bold enough and suggest that we go in a different direction.
Listen, I always say, we say that we are a Christian nation. Why is it that we don't have a commitment from all of the radio stations in this country, including yours, that Sunday is the day to worship God, that Sunday is the day we will only play Christian music?
Well, I don't
there
know.
are millions,
that's what millions
of Christian music that is out there. Why is it that you can't have a simple commitment from all of the stations? That you all get together and say, listen, man, we say we are Christian people. We want to try to indoctrinate our people to change the mindset of our young people by stop having the garbage that you hear 6 days a week on Sunday. We can just play, and the music is so beautiful, the Christian music. Why don't they play it?
You have to understand.
Why?
That most radio stations have different philosophies, different strokes for different folks. There's some who subscribe to this old idea about a Christian Sunday. We do.
Yes.
We love it. And we after 12 on this station until every 7 o'clock. And then on Sundays we do it. But the trouble is this. That people are in a competitive environment. And there's slackness, great slackness in the land. The slackness in the land is what spurs on the interest of radio stations to cater to that slackness. I call it slackness. Some people may say, "Oh, you bull," but I call it slackness. I think there's a pervasive spirit of just defiance in the land where people are doing their own thing. They ain't checking. So they will play the hardest, hardcore, cussing, rapping music on Sunday.
I can't wait for the minister. The minister promised you on your show that he was bringing this bill, this Amendment Act, to the Broadcasting Act. Remember last year? Then I went to Dr. Lawrence, he don't know a damn thing about it.
No, there's no bill. You know what's happening?
There is no bill.
What I have you here, you know what is happening? Small stations like ours have had an increase in fees for our license to operate.
Why?
They can say, but they say it came from the Office of Prime Minister. All right? The Office of Prime Minister. Mr. Miller, you're a businessman. You tell me how small businesses, like these individual radio stations, most who don't make any money, commercial value-wise, can jump from a fee for a license of $500 to $2,780-something just by the brush of a pen, just like that overnight.
That cannot be right.
Well, it is right. That is what is happening. Now, there's a political side to that I want to introduce to you today so that you can let your people know. That what they cooking in that pot ain't gonna cook, because I'll tell you this is the election period. Talk radio has been targeted on those stations in New Providence, right? To shut them out. So that license fee is just a little taste of it.
But bear in mind,
hold on a second. Let me tell you why I said that. Let me back that up because I don't want anybody talking nonsense because I'm working on it right now.
Okay.
Could you imagine Moy FM, Booty and them talking? Could you imagine Guardian Radio and them talking? Could you imagine Van BAWN Ferguson and his group of talk radio people, Rodney Munker and my good friend Harris and all them talking? Could you imagine Steve with his big mouth on Peace FM talking on hard copy? Let me show you something with those independent stations. That's a heavy fee to pay all in one swipe with no kind of period. They sent out the bill at 6 o'clock on Friday evening, or was it Thursday evening, and expected it to be paid within 30 days. Hold on now. Stations aren't making no money like that. Now, when you make the comparison, the stations in New Providence are paying that astronomical fee of $2,700 and some dollars, which is almost 5 times the fee. And the stations on the islands are paying, guess how much? $170. Guess what they're paying in Grand Bahama? $340. But every station in New Providence local independent stations are paying $2,700.
So why have you, haven't spoken against it?
Well,
I haven't heard a word.
Well,
First time I'm here to know.
this just happened.
Oh, I see.
This just
So
happened.
Steve, another thing I want to say to many people.
But I want your people to know that
Yeah.
they're gonna get blamed for that.
No,
Because
and I
the
will
Prime
speak on
Minister's
it. I will
office
speak on it.
has
I will speak
passed
on it.
that to happen.
I will speak on
And
it.
not only that, Mr. Miller, there's double taxation in that because we still have to pay licensing fees, the ordinary licensing
But
fees.
also
and
bear in
everything
mind,
else.
Steve, that many of these small stations are controlled by the big boys down the road.
Who big boys?
Many of them. Who isn't in bed with the Tribune and bed with the Guardian?
Well, yeah.
Because financially they can't survive. So they tell us, listen, this station, most of those small ones now are controlled by those two major entities. The majority of them.
Well, the guy.
The average fella cannot afford them.
The star that's hot there with the guy.
Okay.
There's the other ones that with the Tribune.
Yes.
We are totally independent. We
Yes.
assist some stations
Yes.
with our news.
Exactly.
But we don't control them. We have no control over them. They don't pay a dime for it. It's all done to assist them. Those stations are carrying the news.
And they got trouble to pay light bill because they hurting.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you.
They
So
hurting. And the
you
government
tell
should not
me,
impose
you tell me in this
undue
season,
pressure on the backs of
if
those
that-
small
if that is
companies.
not a
It is not
deliberate
fair.
thing. It seems, well, let me tell you how
It's
we
not
see it.
fair.
It seems to be a very deliberate
And if
thing.
there is a motive,
That is
it's gonna backfire on them because they will get one of the big fellas to pay the bill for them and then attack.
Well,
It makes no sense.
You're a smart man.
Yeah, attack.
You think like you think like a pot cake, and that's
Right.
exactly how you're supposed to be thinking this season.
They will attack.
I mean, imagine that. I mean, is it necessary? Is it necessary for that to have happened?
No.
And when you call IRCA, I spoke with IRCA, and some expected me to jump all over. IRCA's a regulator. We understand this thing. They're a regulator. They came up with these fees. These fees were passed on to the Ministry of Finance, the Office of the Prime Minister, and these fees were authorized to have happen now. I mean, imagine getting a billing from a company when, in my case, and I can say this publicly, and they know that I have all the facts written down. I can say publicly, we have been calling them from the end of last year, all of this, the beginning of this year. What happened to the thing? You already sent them the fees yet? What's happening? Wait, we don't know yet. We gonna let you know. And then, bam! In the middle of the night, these fees come and they're astronomical.
That's an unfair decision that was made.
Now, I want Mr. Christie to know that we are looking at that.
I will speak
I
with him when
want
I go
Mr.
back to
Christie to know
Parliament.
that I spoke to Bradley Roberts about this right on this show before, and he says, that can't be right. I don't think that'll happen like that. He says, I don't think so. Now, I haven't called Mr. Roberts on this matter yet because Mr. Roberts, despite what people say, he looks out for things.
Oh, no, don't worry.
He's a fair fellow.
Yeah,
I can tell you that. I know.
Yeah, and you
All
get
right.
things done.
And he gets things done.
Yes.
But I have to call him because I'm just building up all the information now. See, I don't represent just me as a small station. My mouth is just the loudest.
And you do a good job.
There are so many other stations, including More FM, including VAWN, the sports radio station, including Glory Radio, and all the other little ones, including our brother George down in Nagua, including Brother Campbell over there in Andros.
And they heard you.
Yeah, and we've got to see that these are behemoths who are trying to propagate the information.
In fact, the government and the
media.
government corporations
You know,
should be advertising on those shows to try to assist them
Yeah.
to prop them up. Instead of going either with the Guardian radios, that's who get the bulk of the business. Because the public relation firms that the government has representing most of our corporations,
they're sending it to them.
sending it to them.
Yeah, so the whole thing is Stephen could die.
Exactly.
And so the other day I sent out an APB to say to people, look, there's so much things that we've got to do, and there's no funds to do those things
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
And we don't care if that makes us sound bad in some people's eyes. We're telling you the truth. The truth is the truth. There's some people who try to suppress small independent radio stations, and they'll do anything to kill them.
That is gross.
And behaving people need to get with it
Yes.
and understand the game. Okay? Understand the game.
Yes.
All right. Now that I've said all that, I didn't mean to run on that long. Oh, my goodness. Mr. Miller, you must forgive me.
7.
Hard copy, how are you? I've got a lot of calls on mine. Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy. Yes, sir. How are you? Yes, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Indeed, it's always a pleasure to listen to you. And of course, Mr. Miller, most of the time when I hear him, he sounds just like one of the average behemoths, which
That's what I am, sir, from McCullough Corner.
I have a great level of respect for. He speaks very candid. He speaks very
Oh,
open.
this is Reverend Patrick Paul. I know that voice.
Really appreciate his voice of being one that look out for behavior.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I would want to say with respect to one or two things that he would have said earlier,
Yes, sir.
which is very, very telling. He speaks to the fact that there are some 70% of members of parliament basically do not support the local business persons
That's a fact.
in the Bahamas.
That's a fact.
And then he draw reference to the fact that he's been seeking to have some change for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
And that stuff is volume. People are moved by leaders. The greatest responsibility that leaders have is to inspire people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if we are going to have these kinds of statistics, Steve, that we have leaders that have been leading us for these years, and at the base of who we are as a behavior, if we can change something within 20 years, and he's for reference to the fact of almost 40 years, this thing is telling us something.
It's a culture.
This is
It's
telling
a
us
mindset. It's an innate mindset.
perhaps we have the wrong kinds of persons and people leading us.
Well, I believe we're beginning to sense that too. And 40 years is what? A generation. And so therefore, it may be time for a change of that level of leadership.
But listen to this thing. Just 3 weeks ago, we met with the planning committee that has been committed, has been instructed by the government. And in our meeting, it was known that there were more than 40,000 Bahamians are presently below the poverty line.
A lot of people.
40,000.
I can believe that, yeah. I'm growing every day.
In addition to that, you have 15% of our children, which is almost some 16,000, 17,000 of our children, goes to bed every night
Hungry, yes. Yes, I can appreciate that. And if you go to the city dump, you will see Bahamians that they're sometimes scrounging for food that super value leaves there in their trucks. I've seen that with my own 2 eyes over the years, and it's still prevalent today.
I'll be honest, this is really, really telling, and that's why I have an appreciation for persons who are just honest. I mean, outright honest, and who wants to see the country advance, and who's able to speak truth to power to the point and to the fact that what the realities are, so that we could really, gather ourselves around the reality and try to change the course.
Well, listen, I've got an assignment for you, dear Patrick, and that is this, that I want to see us gather a couple of clergy persons tomorrow because this is Holy Week, and I do want to get the essence of the week from a social point of view to see where it is that we ought to inspire the nation to go in this period of holiness, to speak to issues of social decadence and the rest of it. Are you there?
I am, but
Yeah, you've turned your radio up high or something, but I would like to talk with you after the show. You just be reminded to give me a phone call. All
we'll
right?
do that, Steve.
I
And
appreciate,
thank you so much.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
There are so many things that you made mention of that dump.
Mhm.
There are people eating off that dump.
Yes.
That's a natural health problem, and that can cause a lot of things
Yeah.
because all kinds of things are thrown in that
Yes.
dump. When I was talking to Brother John Bostwick on Wednesday past, he reminded me that there are all kinds of things that are thrown away, medical waste
Yeah, oh, yeah.
on that dump.
Yes.
He reminded me that medical waste may be pieces of human flesh.
And the people at the dump has a problem with it, and they're having a big fight right now with the people in environmental health, trying to tell them that what they want to do is set up some perimeter around the dump, especially outside of the dump, so that when the medical supplies come in there, they go in a special dip bin, and they're having a hell of a fight with some of the people in environmental health, saying this is the way you do it, and if you don't like it, lump it. They got some problems they got to wake up.
Hard copy, how are you?
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Very good, thanks.
All is well.
All is well, sir.
Good, good. I'm just kind of blown away. Good evening, Mr. Miller.
It isn't the user.
I was kind of blown away just listening to Mr. Miller. My mind can't help but go back to so many of his references to the Nintel
seems, anytime he's making reference to something that happened or strong moves, he refers to the past of our former leaders. I have the opportunity to vote for. But my concern is Mr. Miller constantly makes reference to the government, almost to the point of him not being a part. And again, my mind even goes to his latest experiences with Power Secure. I think he was doing such a good job. Excellently.
Well, the team, really.
Doing an excellent job at BEC. But what I don't know if he realizes or not, the people whom he expressed so much confidence in don't seem to have any confidence in him.
I can appreciate that.
There's multiple references to what he's been trying to put forward, even to Reverend Paul just referring to as much as 40 years. I listen to you every time you come on a talk show.
Yes, sir.
And I hear you push for things that's why they call you pocket.
That's right.
The regular behemoth field
Yes.
experiences
Yes.
with the business. You would be an excellent leader when it comes to business in the Bahamas. But are you there? No. You speak from a position of conviction, but yet I hear an alignment have to come from out of you even in your speaking. But I would admonish you to sit down and talk to Steve about this list that he said he's bringing up next day.
We're going to remove Mr. Miller and invite him to be a part of a paradigm shift to rebuild the Bahamas.
To stay aligned to what he's presently with, but it's obvious he doesn't fit. So because I am still blown away by what happened with him at Power Secure weeks after the sale of this company that is taking his place. It's sold, and nobody seems to be aware of the sale. See, so even as we listen to the calls today, there are so many things that have happened in the past. I would even dare to say 10 years of the leadership of his party that he has been fighting for, he has been pushing for, repeatedly, and nobody is paying attention to him, even to the point of diversification.
That's why they call me Porte. They only love me when they need me. You think I don't know that?
Listens to you. They respect your voice. They don't even, I can put it as far as they don't respect you.
I can appreciate that too.
Our situation with BEC, you as chairman, making progress, ready to make changes, begin to make the changes, and then I heard you say the union leader told you you were losing your job. Did you say that?
That was true.
Yeah.
I had no knowledge of it.
So I would tend to say so. You need to enter the new paradigm shift that is taking place and be a part of the change in this nation.
I appreciate your call. All I got to say to him is, let's go. Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy, how are you? Yes, hello, hard copy. Hard copy, how are you?
Are you hearing me, sir?
I now hear you, yes.
Oh, wonderful, because I was not getting through.
Georgie.
Yes, I've got a question for Leslie.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
It is. Why, or what happens, what causes a representative of the people who admonishes everyone else to do what is right and what is proper, and in turn, when presented with a problem, the person is told by the representative that if you want to have this job, then you will have to allow someone to bring it in out of the United States, and then you may profit by it. I asked that question because I want to find out what his views are on that.
Georgie, I don't know what to say. I mean, in some of these cases, you go to do a job and you look at the situation and my point has always been that I look at the average Bahamian, those people who wake up every morning 5:30, 6 o'clock, go to work like hell all day, take home less than $400 a week, work for 30, 40 years, got no pension, get no benefits. If they get sick, they go to the Princess Margaret Hospital, wait the whole day to get served, and sometimes they're not served. And then I look at these little crews, because they belong to a union or what have you, they can go and make representation to the top fellas, and the top fellas are never going to give you the privilege of being there with them. I had a situation where Mr. Brave Davis met with the unions one time, the management union, just before they got rid of me. And they had this big meeting, and they were talking about me, what I got to do and what I shouldn't do. And he invited me, he said, Mr. Miller here, he can defend himself, That was the first meeting I've ever been invited to. But, my whole concern, like yours, George, is what is best for the Bahamian people, the majority, gotta be best for the minority. And it hurts me. It is painful to me that every time in our country, the little groups gets all the benefits to the detriment of the majority of our Bahamian people. That bothers me. And that's why sometimes I speak out and lash out against the government. And of course, I get in trouble for it, as you can appreciate. And I can take the blows, but the time gotta come when we gotta do what is best for the majority and not these little groups that they gather around here, believing they got so much political power because they call themselves a union, and they get away with ripping off the Bahamian people. To give you an example, down at water and sewage, before we could give it a contract, Georgie, and go for bid, the Union of Water and Sewage has 90 days to enable them to put in a bid for contract. The union has the right to put in a bid for a contract, and you must give them 90 days before you can entertain anyone else. And I asked the guys, how did you all sign this contract? Well, we figured they wouldn't put in no bid anyhow. We didn't have the capacity to do so. We held up now on the job in Andros to supply those Bahamians with water. On the job, some jobs are coming up now in other areas of New Providence. We got to wait for them to put in a bid. I asked the minister, what type of foolishness is this? He said, Leslie, listen, do what you got to do. And they took us to court and they won the case. And now we're going back to court through the AG's office to try to have the ruling overturned. This is asinine, the things that we're allowed to do in our country. And it pains me.
Georgie Capron, I'm gonna let you go.
I'm with you 1,000%.
I'm out of time, but it's always good that you can pose such a question.
I know, you didn't want to hear the retort. It's all right.
No, I would like to hear it. Please, sir. Steve will give you the opportunity.
Go ahead. We'll go over by 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I really appreciate your wisdom, sir. Believe me. I listen to you every Saturday of my life on Steve Joseph.
You hear that?
Never miss him.
Georgie.
If you'd like to make a call.
Georgie's gone. Georgie sometimes is very thin-skinned.
Yeah, I know.
He says, well, if you don't want to
he has so much wisdom.
then it is your loss.
But he has so much wisdom. He's been around a long time. And he has a great insight.
Mr. Miller, let me, before I lose time, I've got to go. But I was thinking, make your answer very quick.
Yes, sir.
Should the powers that be eliminate this Junkanoo Carnival this year and perhaps even next year, since there seemed to be little to no traction from a positivity end by the people at large?
Steve, I believe that decision was made some time ago. I understand out of the figure now it's 3 million, versus the 15 or whatever million they spent last year. I try to stay clear of controversial things concerning the Ministry of Tourism because they got a tendency to bite me where it hurts. And I've been trying now for some time to get something done with regard to Mario's Mega Bingo to enable us to assist the youth of this country in becoming involved in bowling in a meaningful way, because you can get a full 4-year scholarship to go to university and college in the United States by bowling. Mm-hmm. We've had about 20 of them given to us so far, but we haven't been able to find one Bahamian because we're not on that level. And we set up a foundation to assist Bahamians in getting involved in that aspect. Mm-hmm. The world's top player last year took home over $1 million for bowling. It's a big, big sport. It's the #1 indoor sport in the world with over 4 billion participants. Mm-hmm. And we're still trying to get permission from the government. I was promised a long time 2 years ago that we were gonna get this license to enable us to have bingo, that we can make a contribution and give to different organizations. I'm still waiting on the minister's final word on giving us that go ahead. So I gotta be very cautious.
In other words, you're the wrong man to be the axe at this particular
Yes.
time. I put my hand up, I know it. I'm gonna run home then, and maybe the wife will treat me better with some hot soup tonight.
I hope so. I hope somebody give me some help too. But I'll take whatever they give me.
You're the podcast.
Yeah, podcast of the blade.
Listen, I've got tons of text messages today, somewhere around 45 and about 35 WhatsApp to share with you today from today's show. So I can't read them all, obviously. I'm going to post them on the Hard Copy Facebook page. Please go there and see what they're saying about the pot cake. Leslie, you need to read them too, because a lot of them are saying that, why am I bringing Leslie on if he's just going to tell us and regurgitate these problems? We need some damn action, is what people are saying.
Well, it takes all of us to act. It doesn't take one person. Bahamians got to act. And I've been preaching this now for the last 30, 40 years. What they want to do is sit down and complain, but when you ask them to go and do something like patronize Bahamian business, like look out for Bahamians, stop buying the foreign products over our products, they're not going to do it. They call your show and say, oh, I buy it. They don't. They lie like hell.
Yeah.
They believe that the foreign product is better because they believe that the foreign is better.
Well, governments can do a lot of things to stop that.
If they wish.
If they put the tax high enough, they'll have to buy it. Bahamian, Jamaica did it, Barbados did
Every
it,
country did
Trinidad did it,
United States done it
and
too.
them people learn how to cook callaloo in Jamaica.
Exactly.
They learn how to eat sugar cane and make sugar cane juice in Barbados and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And what are we doing? Are we having any backyard gardens?
Don't know about it.
Hey, let's go home, Evan.
That's how it is. Good evening, Bahamas.
Thank you very much, Leslie,
Thank you,
for
sir.
joining us
Pleasure
this
to be
evening on the
here
show.
with you, sir. Pleasure.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry for being late again.
absolutely. It's all right. We understand these things.
Yes.
Well, two down. Are there any more to go? There's resignations coming in. This is a good time for